It is now 5 p.m. on Tuesday, July 28th, 2026. This meeting of the Clean Independent School District Board of Trustees is now called to order. The following trustees are present and participating: Oliver Mintz, Vice President; Brenda Adams, Secretary; Marvin Rainwater, Board Member; Tina Capito, Board Member; and me, Brett Williams, President and Presiding Officer. Absent and not participating in this meeting is Trustee Susan Jones, as well as Trustee Rodney Gilchrist. For the record, a quorum has been established and is present. A recording of this meeting is being made and will be available to the public at a later date. We're also streaming this meeting on our cable channel 17 and on the district's webpage. As a reminder, anyone wishing to speak at public forum must submit their sign-up sheet at this time. Agenda item number 1, public forum. The board will now hear comments from those who've signed up to speak. Per board policy, each public comment is limited to 3 minutes. I'll ask the audience to please refrain from any public outburst and to maintain decorum. Parents, employees, and citizens are encouraged to utilize the district's grievance process to the fullest extent possible. Related policies are available on the district's website or upon request. Signed up to speak, we have Dr. Tracy Hanson. Welcome.
Of Oak Creek Academy and Education Connection Child Development Center. As you know, I've submitted another bid for the Clifton Park property. I recently sent each of you an email outlining my vision, but I felt it was important to come before you personally to share what this opportunity means, not only to me, but to the families and individuals we could serve together. First, I want to clarify something that's very important to me. Oak Creek Academy is a nonprofit organization, not a charter school. My goal is not to compete with KISD or any other public school district. My goal is to be a community partner. My vision for Clifton Park is built around partnership, collaboration, and filling needs that may fall outside the traditional scope of a public school system. Last year, Florence ISD approached me about opening a child care center in Florence to provide discounted child care for district employees. That has proven to be a valuable addition to their district and a meaningful benefit for their staff, and I would welcome the opportunity to also explore that as well as pre-K partnerships with the district. But my vision for Clifton Park goes far beyond early childhood. One of my greatest concerns is what happens to individuals with unique abilities after they leave the public school system. Families spend years surrounded by teachers, therapists, programs, and supports, and then they face the question, what happens next? I believe Clifton Park could help answer that question. My vision is to create a community where adults with unique abilities continue to learn, work, build relationships, and live lives filled with dignity and purpose. We could partner with KISD to support students transitioning into adulthood, including those in 18+ programs. Our team could provide before and after care programs and meaningful work opportunities within the Oak Creek community. Over time, I envision developing residential living and day habilitation opportunities, creating a place where adults with unique abilities can belong and thrive throughout their lives. A community offering education, vocational opportunities, day programming, and eventually residential support could give families another reason to make this area their permanent home. I envision a cafe where neurodiverse adults can learn to cook, serve customers, greet patrons, and develop workplace and social skills. Within the community, individuals could create products such as dog treats, banana bread, pottery, jewelry, artwork, and other handmade goods that could be sold in a gift shop. These are not only simply activities, they are opportunities to contribute, earn, develop skills, build confidence, and experience the pride that comes from meaningful work. Last week, I visited Brookwood Community near Katy, Texas for the 5th time. Brookwood is the model that has inspired much of this vision. I've developed a relationship with Vivian Schutte, the founder's daughter, who has become both a friend and a mentor as I explore how to bring a similar concept to our community. Finally, this project is deeply personal to me. I attended Clifton Park from 1st through 6th grade. After completing my work, I was always given the opportunity to spend time with students in the special ed classroom. I played games with them, art projects, and read with them. I could never have known then how much those experiences would shape the direction of my life. Decades later, my passion continues to be creating opportunities for individuals with unique abilities and supporting the families who love and care for them. So tonight I'm asking you to consider more than my bid for a building. I'm asking you to consider a partnership. Clifton Park was once a place where children like me learned and grew. I believe it can become a place where individuals with unique abilities continue to learn, work, belong, and thrive for a lifetime. Thank you for your time, your consideration, and your service to our community.
Thank you. As we have no one else signed up for public forum, We're going to move on from public forum. Let the record reflect at 5:03 p.m. Madam Susan Jones arrived to the meeting. Welcome. The board will now convene in closed session for any combination of the following. Agenda item 2A, discussion regarding board operating procedures as allowed by Texas Government Code 551.071, 551.074. Agenda item 2B, consultation with the district's legal counsel regarding pending litigation, a settlement offer, or other issues confidential under the attorney-client privilege as allowed by Texas Government Code 551.071. Agenda item 2C, deliberate the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property as allowed by Texas Government Code 551.072. Agenda item 2D, deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee as allowed by Texas Government Code 551.074. Agenda item 2E, deliberate a matter regarding a public school student in which personally identifiable information about the student will necessarily be revealed as allowed by Texas Government Code 551.0821. Agenda item 2F, Level 3 parent grievance as allowed by Texas Government Code 551.071, 551.0821. No voting will take place in closed session. Any action the board wishes to take as a result of discussions in closed session will take place after the board reconvenes in the open meeting. The time is now 5:06 p.m. and we're in closed session, and we'll go into the superintendent's conference room. Thank you. The time is now 6 p.m. and we are reconvening from closed session. No action or voting took place in closed session. No action is needed. I love it. We got people in the building. Once we open our new fancy building, everybody will be in here seeing us. Can you hear me?
Is that better? Okay.
It wasn't my voice. It was the voice of all the people out in the hall that are just excited to be here. So, all right. I'll state it again. At the time that I originally made the statement was 6 p.m. and we're reconvening from closed session. No action or voting took place in closed session. No action is needed. This meeting of the Clean Independent School District Board of Trustees will resume in accordance with the posted agenda for today's meeting. We'd like to welcome Colonel McClellan, our garrison commander from Fort Hood. Welcome. And we also like to welcome, where is the best school liaison officer in the world, Christine Caparco. There she is back there. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Anyone who did not have an opportunity to speak during public forum at 5 p.m. and wishing to speak must submit their sign-up sheet at this time. It has been the board's practice before each regular meeting to have an invocation and pledges of allegiance to the United States flag and Texas flag. A new tradition that we have is we bring in our kiddos from our elementary campuses to lead us, and so we're going to be excited tonight to have Ethan Montez Rivera and Grayson Gates from Clear Creek Elementary School do the pledges. And I didn't tell him, but my trusted friend Marvin Rainwater will lead the invocation. So please stand as we have the invocation.
May we pray. Our Father and our God, we're grateful for the many blessings you've given our students, our teachers, our parents in KISD. Father, we're in a critical time of planning and working hard and meeting new people and learning new things and just trying to get into a routine and establish the things that are important to us and important to our families. And all of these things and all the decisions that we make tonight and the ones we make in the future, we ask that you will bless us and guide us and always keep us in your presence and keep your arms wrapped around us. Protect our schools, Father, and keep them safe from incredible harm that's out there. And you just ask for your blessing and your guidance. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Hey, I want everybody out there, just give a big thank you to our kiddos. It takes a lot of courage to come up here. A recording of this meeting is being made and will be available to the public at a later date. We're also streaming this meeting on our cable channel 17 and on the district's webpage. We'll now move to agenda item number 3, honors and recognition. Welcome, Ms. Rudolph.
Good evening, Mr. President, trustees, Dr. Davis. As you're coming down for pictures, I'd like to remind everyone that our official photos from tonight are going to be available on our website, www.kalinisd.org/photos. We have a full house tonight, as you heard. Very excited people out here. First up, we're going to begin by recognizing 2 educators who are helping shape the next generation of leaders in Killeen ISD. Through Killeen ISD's Teacher Residency Program in partnership with Texas A&M University Central Texas, Sarah Duffy and Alexandria Hernandez spent the past year working alongside experienced educators, gaining valuable classroom experience while building relationships with students. Beginning this fall, both residents will officially join KISD and Nolanville Elementary as certified teachers, continuing, yes. They will continue their commitment to the students and community they've already spent the past year serving. And joining Ms. Duffy and Ms. Hernandez tonight is Ms. Billy Diaz. She's the Director of Field Experience from A&M Central Texas. Congratulations. We're glad to have you. Next, we are proud to recognize that the Killeen ISD Finance Department earned the Association of School Business Officials International Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting for the 34th consecutive year. This prestigious recognition, yes, it honors school districts that demonstrate the highest standards of financial reporting, transparency, and accountability. This achievement reflects the district's long-standing commitment to responsible stewardship of public resources and ensuring our community has confidence in how taxpayer dollars are managed in support of students. So accepting the recognition tonight, our Chief Financial Officer, Callan Vaden, Director of Financial Reporting, Melanie Jones, and Senior Accountant, Terry Despain. Congratulations. Next, we are proud to recognize Harker Heights High School rising senior Jalen Bennett for earning a highly competitive national internship with NASA. Jalen was selected for the NASA STEM Enhancement in Earth Sciences, or SEAS, internship. From more than 3,000 applicants from across the country, only 188 were selected to participate, and one of our very own KISD students was among them. Jalen had the opportunity to work alongside NASA scientists, engineers, and other aerospace experts, conducting authentic research while gaining hands-on experience in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Please join us in congratulating Jalen on this outstanding accomplishment. Congrats. Next, we are proud to recognize Killeen ISD Athletics for being named a Texas Way District of Distinction for the 2025-26 school year. Presented by the Texas High School Athletic Directors Association, this honor recognizes districts that demonstrate an exceptional commitment to character, sportsmanship, and leadership through their athletic programs. This year, Killeen ISD was just one of 39 districts statewide to earn this distinction. The recognition reflects the collective efforts of our athletic administrators, coaches, and student athletes to model respect, integrity, and excellence both on and off the field. Accepting the recognition tonight are Executive Director of Athletics, Letitia Williams, Director of Athletics, Matthew Manning, and Assistant Director of Athletics, Kevin Lawler. Congratulations. Okay, this next group, I want you to notice that they dressed the part tonight. Okay, we are proud to recognize Killeen ISD as the Lemonade Day Fort Hood Area 2026 Partner of the Year. This honor recognizes the district's outstanding commitment to expanding entrepreneurship opportunities for students through collaboration with campuses and community partners. Killeen ISD increased participation in Lemonade Day from about 60 entrepreneurs last year to more than 400 students this year. The award reflects the district's dedication to helping students develop leadership and real-world business skills that will serve them well beyond the classroom. Accepting the recognition tonight is Dr. Anjanette Wilkerson, our Executive Director of District and Community Relations, and Allie Torres from First National Bank. Okay, Anjanette, you're not dressed like a lemon. Love it. Thank you, ladies. It's actually our next people. You're going to see them. We have 5 Killeen ISD students whose entrepreneurial spirit earned them the Best Lemonade Presentation Award during the 2026 Lemonade Day Fort Hood Area Lemmy Awards. So you are about to meet the Sunshine Sippers from Meadows Elementary. They impressed judges with their outstanding business presentation and represented Killeen ISD so well. Congratulations to Adeline Spencer, Ava Matthews, and Casey Stevens. And also joining them tonight are their program mentors from Meadows, Katrina Schoenrock and Kara Spencer. Congratulations, guys. Tonight, we are also proud to recognize 2 Alice W. Dallas Elementary students whose compassion and generosity are making a difference beyond the classroom. Through this year's American Heart Association campaign, Kalina Moultrie and Peter Agun ranked among the top student fundraisers in Central Texas. So joining them tonight is Principal Melissa Thomas. Kalina raised $4,545. This placed her second in the region and 18th across the state of Texas. Kalina, her efforts are helping support life-saving research, raise awareness about heart health, and inspire others to give back to their community. Kalina, good job. Proud of you. It's a good month of recognitions, y'all. Next up, we are proud to recognize we had 23 Clean IC campuses that have been named Capturing Kids' Hearts National Showcase Schools for the 25-26 school year. This is huge. This honor is for campuses that create safe, welcoming learning environments where strong relationships, positive culture, and high expectations help students to thrive. It reflects very intentional daily work from our school leaders to ensure students feel connected, valued, and supported. So joining them tonight, we have Micah Wells, our Executive Director of Student Support Services, and we are going to run through the list of 23 schools, they all have representatives with them here tonight. So congratulations to Cedar Valley Elementary, Clear Creek Elementary, Clifton Park Elementary, Dr. Joseph A. Fowler Elementary, Harker Heights Elementary, Haynes Elementary, Iduma Elementary, Live Oak Ridge Middle School, Maudmore Wood Elementary, Mountain View Elementary, Nolanville Elementary, Ovetta Culp Hobby Elementary, Pathways Academic Campus, Peebles Elementary, Persian Park Elementary, Rancier Middle School, Reeses Creek Elementary, Richard E. Cavazos Elementary, Sagert Elementary, Skipchaw Elementary, Timber Ridge Elementary, Tremere Elementary, and last but not least, Venable Village Elementary. Oh, sure. Let's go. Okay, yeah. Congratulations to these schools. It's a big deal. Y'all, we have a few more. All right, up next, this is a special group. We are very proud to recognize Andrea Dykes in our Andrea, along with our parent liaisons in Killeen ISD, earned the Family Engagement Champion Award, a national recognition honoring excellence in building meaningful partnerships between schools and families. Killeen ISD received the award for successfully launching the Parenting Partners program at 46 campuses during its first year, empowering families to become active partners in their children's education and strengthening connections between home and school. Joining Ms. Dykes tonight are parent liaisons Hasmil Gracia Cruz, Janice Colin Ventura, Kimberly Smith, Dari McCleaves, and Sandra Sampson. Trustees, these parent liaisons are also out and about in the community as we head into back to school season, connecting with families and letting them know all the important information to get their student off to a great start. So appreciate y'all. Next, we are proud to recognize Jae-Young Cho of Harker Heights High School for earning Outstanding Performer honors at the UIL Texas State Solo and Ensemble Contest. Outstanding Performer is the highest individual honor awarded at the state competition and is presented to only a small percentage of the thousands of student musicians who qualify to compete each year. Jae-Young earned the distinction through his exceptional cello performance and artistry among the state's finest young musicians. Joining Jae-Young tonight is the orchestra director, Mr. Joshua Croft. Please join us in celebrating. We are also proud to recognize 3 Killeen ISD theater programs that have earned the Exemplary Campus designation from the Texas Educational Theater Association. This is the organization's highest recognition and honors theater programs that demonstrate excellence in instruction, performance opportunities, leadership development, and overall program quality. Congratulations to Chaparral High School, Union Grove Middle School, and JDA Middle School. Congratulations. We are also proud to recognize 4 Killeen ISD theater programs that earned outstanding campus designations from the Texas Educational Theater Association. Tonight we have with us Ellison High School, Harker Heights High School, Killeen High School, and Nolan Middle School. Thank you.
I already got one, but I'll take another one. All right.
Thank you, guys. And for our final recognition tonight, we are proud to recognize the outstanding achievements of Killeen ISD's fine arts dance programs, whose performers earned state and national championships this past spring. We begin by recognizing our individual state and national champions. From Ellison High School, individual honors, congratulations to Brianna Brower, state champion soloist and national champion duet. Trinity Williams, national champion duet. Zuleika Lopez Kelly, state champion small ensemble. Callie Walker, state champion small ensemble. And Madison Walker, state champion small ensemble.
On video, sorry. Okay. Ready? All right, thank you.
Also from Ellison, we have the state and national team honors. So the Ellison Emeralds are under the direction of Jennifer Zaire. The team honors are American Dance Drill Team National Championship, Extra Small Team, American Dance Drill Team State Champion, Best of the Best Officer Line, and American Dance Drill Team State Champion Small Ensemble. The Ellison Jewels are under the direction of Miss Savannah Carr, and they earned the American Dance Drill Team State Championship in the Junior Varsity Division. Congratulations. Oh, hang tight. Congratulations. We are proud to recognize from Harker Heights The Rosettes junior varsity team, they earned 2 national grand champion titles at the HTE Dance and Spirit Group National Competition. Under the direction of Kristen Bark and Amy Drozd, the Rosettes captured grand champion honors in both the small officers and the small team divisions. Congratulations. We also have the Chaparral High School Top Cats. They earned 2 Dance Line USA state championships. The Top Cats captured state champion honors in both the small officers and small team divisions. Accepting on behalf of the team are Aubrey Cunha and Catherine Walker. Congratulations. And last but not least, we are proud to recognize Lydia Bryant for earning the American Dance Drill Team State Championship in the middle school soloist division. Lydia is from Union Grove Middle School. And then we're also proud to recognize the Union Grove Golden Bells. They earned Best Overall Middle School Officers, Best Overall Middle School Team, and Platinum Middle School Team. Accepting on behalf of the Golden Bells are Lily Galloway and Kennedy Conway under the leadership of Kristen Wilkerson. And team. Congratulations. That concludes tonight's honors and recognitions. Thank you so much. It's been a great summer. We appreciate getting to celebrate.
We'll now move to agenda item number 4, which is public forum, which is a continuation of the 5 p.m. public forum. The board will now hear comments from those who signed up to speak. Per board policy, each public comment is limited to 3 minutes. I will ask the audience to please refrain from any public outbursts and to maintain decorum. Parents, employees, and citizens are encouraged to utilize the district's grievance process to the fullest extent possible. Related policies are available on the district's website or upon request. For the record, we ask that all public forum participants begin by stating their name and the city in which they reside. Once complete, your 3 minutes will begin. Signed up to speak tonight, we have J.J. Williams. Welcome.
Good evening. Am I on? All right. President Williams, Superintendent Davis, board members, my name is J.J. Williams, and I am the president of the Killeen Education Association. I live in Killeen, Texas. I stand here before you representing over 700 teachers and hourly workers. Some of you guys on the board used to be teachers, Mr. Rainwater, Mr. Adams, and Ms. Capito. Have you guys forgotten the struggle that teachers go through every year? A 1% and a $50 monthly stipend or bonus money will not keep up with inflation, and it sure will not help hourly workers. A student can go to McDonald's and get a job and make $15 an hour. That's more than the starting wages for an hourly worker. A 1% pay raise is a bad look for a district this size. Some of our employees are in soup lines and food banks. One job should be enough. Mr. Rainwater, Mr. Gilchrist, I thank you for speaking up for hourly employees. I know the rest of you guys care as well. We see you, we see you. Someone is always watching. Another thing, safety. We need quick response time from principals when there is a disruption in a classroom. Teachers come to teach, not to raise our kids. This is not what they sign up for. Please fix it. Please, I urge you to fix this before you sign anything, or at least go into closed session. Thank you for listening to me. Have a good evening.
Thank you. As we have no one else signed up for public forum, we're closing public forum and moving to the next item on the agenda, which is 5 information items for discussion. A, discussion of potential early childhood education partnership.
Good evening.
Welcome, and I'm about to say Dr. Creighton, but that's...
Well, that's great. We'll
but-
do that together.
But Dr.
so-
Creighton's going to come up, and she's going to introduce you.
that's
Welcome,
wonderful.
Dr. Creighton.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Good
to see
seeing
you.
you again.
Good evening, President Williams, members of the board, Dr. Davis. Pre-K partnerships consist of formal and informal collaborations between districts and private child care facilities or Head Start. These programs expand access to high-quality early education by combining public funding and standards with private community facilities. Joining us tonight is Michelle Hartman, and she will share additional information about this TEA-sponsored initiative that allows districts and child care facilities to dual enroll students. I'll turn it over to Michelle.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. No, good evening. And before I start, I do want to tell you that often the ability to connect with children in your community and your staff is attributed to small rural districts. And goodness, y'all broke that myth today. I had a hard time sitting back there not getting teary-eyed at the fact that you're a large district, but you're still taking the time to do that recognition. So thank you for allowing me to witness that. And again, it was just a little emotional to see, again, a big district that could easily just say, we're going to go ahead and skip that due to size, that you took the time to recognize the students. Again, I know that a lot of the information has been shared with you, but I do want to run through a little bit of the presentation of the benefits of early childhood public-private partnerships. And as was shared with you, this is something that's very much advocated for by TA as well as TWC and a lot of other state agencies in ways of either direct support and or funding that is available both to school districts as well as to our private entities. And I use the word entities, it sounds so cold, but private schools, child care centers, Montessori programs, even homeschool are certainly able to participate this. It is a model, if you will, that it's hard for me to categorize because it certainly has a financial component to that, allowing those students to be co-enrolled in Killeen ISD, which will then draw down those funds. The other term that's often used is the flow-through, pass-through, flow-back of funds that will do that. What I want to share with you, though, is it becomes much more than that as we embrace the private entities that service our children of Killeen. And as we know, all the children of the state of Texas belong to each and every one of us at different stages through their childhood into adulthood. So the team, obviously, is myself, and then these names certainly don't mean anything to you, but I think it's important to give some recognition that it's never one person that's able to support any program, and that's a testament to y'all today as far as serving on a board, as well as the leadership team that Dr. Davis has been wonderful, very patient, and we went through very methodically to make sure that it was a good fit for Killeen ISD. As earlier mentioned, there's both formal and informal, and as y'all were doing the recognition, certainly I saw lots of informal support. Formal for tonight's conversation is certainly have the financial component in it. There is an interlocal or an agreement between Killeen ISD and the private partners of your choice. When I say your choice, it's also the private entity. Are they wanting to partner with Killeen ISD? What stood out to me about your district, and as we worked through these conversations that brought us to tonight's decision, was the fact that there very much was a commitment to using this opportunity to address any type of school improvement from an academic lens. So never was the conversation just about the financial benefit, even though I'll share with you they're certainly great on both sides, the public and private. As mentioned, you can partner with your private entities, and again, you may be very aware of this, but your child care and private programs, their funding source really comes from parent tuition, or what we call child care scholarships. Might also be familiar with the term child care subsidies. So when I mention state agencies, that's where TWC comes in with some funding. Your school district, your foundation school programs, state and federal grants, and local funds. What you will find as you do this work, that certainly it has opened up the opportunity to work and be attractive in many ways to more grants, and being able to take those benefits and share them with your private partners within your community or outside your district boundaries. Certainly Head Start programs are at the lower financial challenges in our communities, and that's a wonderful partnership for a school district to partner with a Head Start program. And then again, as you do this work, you're going to find philanthropy and nonprofits that also want to contribute in sharing their programming with all of the private entities within the Killeen area. An example of braiding that funding, as I mentioned, if you're familiar, ADA is obviously your school district funding, but your private tuition can come before and after that. So again, a school district is able to take students that are enrolled in a private school, co-enroll them, enroll them in Killeen ISD, which is going to increase your enrollment, generate those funds, and then a portion of those funds flow back to the private while the school district also maintains those funds. the biggest question is always how much of those funds. I always advocate for as close to 50-50 as possible. You will see different models as you search and research these programs. I think it's really difficult to argue 50-50 isn't fair, and we certainly shoot for that in our marriages and every other relationships that we have. And that's the goal here, is that for Killeen ISD to have a long-term partnership, not a revolving door. So we work to make it as fair as possible to the private as well as the public. And Killeen ISD tonight has the opportunity to be the largest school district in the state of Texas to do this work. As I go through the slides, and you may have already previewed, there's some other mid-sized large districts, but none quite as large as Killeen. And again, going back to what I saw this morning, earlier this evening, I'm not surprised by your consideration of the program. I do want you at any time, if there's a question, to feel comfortable asking, but there's also time for questions at the end. But again, you're able to take students that are enrolled in a private child care center or a private school, enroll them in Killeen ISD, and then we collaborate together to make sure that we're improving. What we often see is at some point throughout a child's life, they will return to the public school. So again, being able to be at that table in the conversation, for example, if there's special needs at an earlier date, has really serviced the districts well. We know the supports that need to be in place, and we're able to provide that at the other locations without those students actually attending the physical building of Killeen ISD. The two examples here is your pre-K through K3 is really an easier partnership, and it's often where I see districts stop their 3-year-old program. Financially, the amount of time that you are to required for state funding for a 3-year-old is half of the time that you are for a 4-year-old through actually 12th grade. So it can financially be beneficial, but it does take certainly some cooperation and making sure that we meet all the requirements of high-quality pre-K. Here's, one district's partnership. You see how very small that district is. But again, over the years, just increasing that enrollment. And again, it's very important to remember when I tell this story, given that the fact that I've been in a superintendent role for about 16 years, I often, unfortunately sometimes, slant that to the district perspective. It's very important to know that all the things that I'm telling you that are a benefit for the district, on the flip side, if we'll go back to that 50-50, end up being a benefit for the private entity as well. So again, this is just one particular district showing how those partnerships were able to increase that enrollment, increase the funding, as well as allowed for the sharing of curriculum, professional development, all the things that I would say districts are very strong in, were able to assist your private partners. Again, looking at another graph showing through the years how that allotment state funding increased over the years, starting out very small, but then again, also because of that increased enrollment, by any chance, which I don't believe Killeen is, but if you're a recapture district, that is a way to offset that recapture. You're able to increase that enrollment and keep those dollars within the school system. When I say the school system, I should probably say the educational system, because that is what your taxpayers provide those funds for, is to better educate the students of their community. So again, embracing this model is saying we're going to embrace all of the children in the Killeen area, and even furthermore, the state of Texas, by using our resources to combine with private resources to make sure that we do the very best for children and those that care for them. Here is another example of another district who, again, started public-private partnerships. Both of the districts that I shared with you, those were outside their district boundaries, because sometimes in Texas it's really difficult because it's not as populated. Here in Killeen, in working with your leaders, they had already done some great background work of looking, and you certainly have lots of private entities within your district. But again, there are times times that a partnership outside your district certainly can make sense from a financial standpoint, as well as the other things I just mentioned, professional development. Those partnerships, again, showing in this particular district, they actually had more revenue coming in from private partners than they were generating themselves. And again, if I'm going too fast, again, here's an example of some of our private partners that are participating in this particular model. I think it's important to say that the information that I'm sharing with you are certainly our public and our private partners have already wanted to share that. They're very pleased with the model itself, and some of them, again, that you'll be familiar with, certainly across the state of Texas. Certainly from your population of a number of celebrations you have, you certainly, again, have lots of availability locally to find private partners. Here's, again, districts that are currently participating in this particular model. You will see some that you're familiar with, maybe some that you're not. I would not be lying if I said probably 2 to 3 outreaches a week is what's happening right now. Some of that is because of decreased enrollment. Others, I would say, in a very way that I want to celebrate is the recent work of public or private entities, I should say, coming into public school. It has opened up the realization, again, that parents have choices, right? And so our ability to be able to work with our private partners is just that. It's embracing that public school is in a time of redesign, and we're able to go, let's do this together and look for the ways that we can work more efficiently, more effectively for our families and for our teachers. Just a list of state agencies that support this. As we mentioned, Texas School Ready. In this particular program, Texas School Ready is UT Houston, and we are able to offer, again, professional development to the child care centers, stipends for the employees, curriculum, manipulatives, things of that nature at no cost. TEA, if you spend any time on the TEA website, you'll see quite a bit about pre-K partnerships and their work, and I'm very proud of the fact that I was able to work with them during my time as both the superintendent as well as associate vice chancellor of the Texas A&M University system. So again, while it seems like it's a new concept, I think if you really stop and think about it, there's many, many ways that your public schools partner, collaborate, work with your private community. But this is a much more directive way of looking at, specifically in the pre-K window, if you will, our opportunity to work together and better serve our communities. So what is the extra funding is often used for staff salaries, facility improvements. Again, it's a very purposeful way of saying we recognize and honor parental choice, that parents may, for whatever reason, often it's work hours, they're able to keep their children in a child care center that has the extended hours, but Clean ISD will still be a voice, will still have a presence within that child's education, even in the private setting. Certainly, again, I mentioned professional learning and collaboration. The moment you formalize those partners, then any professional development that Colleen offers is then able to be opened up to our private partners. And luckily, we work in a time of virtual. So that's usually another common question is, how does that work? Well, we're going to open that up through, working with your technology department to let our private child care centers participate in the high quality professional development that I know Colleen already has in place. And then again, there's obviously a lot of value to community and business goodwill. It makes sense. It is an opportunity for Colleen to be even a larger presence in its private community. That was super fast for me. You may have questions, but I'm happy to answer any of those, or again, if there's questions after today's presentation. Most commonly, what I have seen is that the authorization or ability to enter these partnerships is awarded to the superintendent, and then we report back to the board on a cadence that is acceptable to you. part of that is simply the logistics. Often your private have boards and nonprofit sometimes that they have their communication and approval process, if you will, that needs to go through. But that is what I'd like to share with you tonight. And again, and certainly if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those at this time.
Madam Capito.
First, thank you for coming. We definitely appreciate the opportunity for any collaboration that benefits our district. But
Thank
I
you.
don't, maybe I missed this and I apologize.
No.
What is the workload on the district or the services that we're providing and then vice versa? Like, where does this 50-50 come from? What are we actually doing?
Yeah.
And for lack of a better word, does it break even if we are paying staff, but is it exceeding what we are receiving?
It will not. So when I mention as close to 50-50 as possible, what most commonly I see is 45-55. And that is, again, if you want to say negotiated, there are certain private industry entities that are large enough and certainly have the capabilities. Surprisingly, you will find lots of certified individuals that may have retired from a public school and are now working in a private entity to take care of those requirements. So some of the requirements that you're speaking of as far as workload is daily attendance, right? That is definitely different in private. Private is paying their tuition and not necessarily relying on the attendance. So adhering to the student attendance handbook, any assessment, beginning, middle, and end assessment that is required by TEA. Most commonly, you see the partnerships pre-K through second grade. I am going to predict that that will change as the state is evaluating the STAR test and how we're assessing our students. And so certainly some of our partners that have been in it for years are ready to partner in larger grade levels, upper grade levels, I guess I should say, as those changes become finalized. But the cost is, again, that percentage of 45-55. So the 5% that would go to help supporting the program. What our conversations here in Killeen is the team, meaning myself and the names that I shared with you, would help support that program until Killeen ISD then we're able to pass that on to either current staff or add staff. But you do not add staff in the beginning. It certainly is a self-sufficient, self-funded program is what I guess probably the better way to explain that.
I don't think maybe I asked the question well,
Okay.
so I apologize.
No, that's
I
okay.
think I'm trying to understand where this is benefiting the school district and the community partners.
Increased enrollment. You'll be
Okay.
able to increase that enrollment. So any student that is, and I apologize if I cut you off, any student that's in the private entity then becomes a student of Killeen ISD, then generating your ADA and any other weighted ADA, for example, if they're ESL, special needs, any of the other funding sources.
But then are we providing services to them?
You are providing services. What you will find, though, is many, as far as your special needs services, are already within the system under ECI. So you may already be servicing some of these students. It really is then enlarging the ability to service them through professional development, the assessments, and some of those services can be done virtually, and then others are in person.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to hold for a moment.
No, that's okay. I mean, and as far as the services, you may also be alluding to the actual instructional services. Is that?
I'm just trying to understand the workload that would come onto the district. We're a very large community, obviously,
Yes.
for a school district. Definitely want to ensure that we have the capacity to do this.
Yes, ma'am.
If we were going, I definitely hear the ADA, but I'm also wanting to just clearly understand. I mean, I believe all of our kids in our community are ours. I mean,
Yes, ma'am.
they live here, regardless of where they attend school, they are our community members. So I am for that 100%. I just want to kind of understand the benefits of, like, I mean, I also understand sometimes kids go to a charter or private and they come back and forth. And so there could definitely be some benefits. I'm just trying to grasp it, and I don't.
Yep.
It's me. It's
No,
not you.
that's okay.
It's
I love
okay.
it. Now, these are all really good questions. So one thing that is I would say maybe a common misperception or misconception is that the district has to employ the teacher. They do not. The student has to qualify for funding through the regular pre-K requirements, and also whoever is teaching them needs to meet those qualifications, right, to qualify for highly pre-K, but they do not have to be a school district employee.
Okay.
That might be a big part of the
Well, I was just gonna
expense.
say, so
Yes,
maybe
ma'am.
what you're trying to say is this also expands our capacity to help enrich pre-K, which will get our children ready for schools. That may be where-
100%.
Okay, maybe
100%.
that's,
School readiness
maybe
component.
that was the piece I was
No,
missing, so
I apologize.
apologize.
I apologize. And I love that you're asking questions, so don't ever apologize for asking.
Madam Jones.
Ma'am, these children will not be sitting in our classrooms. They'll be sitting in the partnerships classroom.
Correct.
All day, half a day?
So for pre-K 3, it's half a day. As far as the district's commitment, they are committed to half the time of a 4-year-old. As far as to draw down funding, but they will be in the, that is the ability for the private to charge the private tuition, that what I commonly refer to wraparound services. So there's a component that is the school district time. We are adhering to the guidelines that TEA and the state set out for instruction during those minimum minutes, if you will. And then, again, that extended time, I met with a child care center here this morning that opened at 6 and offered services till 6:30. So again, that school district component would be your traditional 8 to 12, 8 to 4:30, 8:30 to 3:30, and then the private does the wraparound. So instead of an after-school program, you're actually taking the school and going to the after-school program, if that makes sense, versus just within a traditional district model where you might be providing after-school services.
Okay, so the 3-year-olds will be going to school for a half a day, and the 4-year-olds will be going for a full day,
Correct.
and our staff won't be in the classroom or the and you said daycare?
It could be a daycare. Now, when I say child care learning center, TWC currently is offering a $25,000 per classroom award to the private child care center that partners with the public school. But in order to qualify for that funding, you have to be a Texas Rising Star 3 or 4. So I do want to tell you that one of the aha moments I had when I started doing this work is within the private schools, within child care centers, there already is quality rating systems. It's just very different, and I would say probably not as publicized as a school district getting an A through F. But there are quality standards that in many cases are probably more stringent than what you would see in our school system accountability, if that makes sense.
And these partnerships that we would have, these charter schools, et cetera, do they offer higher level education outside of the kindergarten and pre-K program?
Yep.
And I go there only because we talk about this collaboration that you were talking about with your teachers being able to come to our district to get their education. So if it benefits our children ultimately, I think that's wonderful, but I come from the business sector where we don't educate our competition.
Yeah.
So
Nope,
that's the only question I would have in that
Yeah.
regard is I would be hesitant, but again, I want to be open-minded about this because we suffer in the education world, in the military as well, with being able to provide adequate daycare for our students, for our soldiers' children.
Yep.
And 3- and 4-year-olds our military children deserve that education. So I look at the whole scope of this, but
Yes, ma'am.
50-50, I'm not sure if that's a balance that
No,
works.
sure,
But at the
certainly,
same
yeah.
time, without educating myself, which I
Sure.
will do, I will meet with Coppers Cove to research this a little bit more because I do think 3-year-old and 4-year-old education is very, very important for our educational development of our children.
No, I love the points that you're bringing. I do want to clarify, a charter school is the same as a public school, so you will not partner with a charter school. You would only partner with a private school and/or a child care. And, when I struggle with daycare, I want to tell you, I was raised in the 80s, and daycare was a term of endearment. And now the term is usually learning center, child care center. So I sometimes struggle with that because, again, certainly want to be respectful of both. And I love the fact that I feel like that's what you're saying, is that you want to make sure we protect not only public students, but also those students that are in the child care centers. I will tell you, the military has the very highest rating of child care centers. I will also tell you they're overflowing. They often have to come out into the communities. So this would be, again, a great way to service our military families and help the transition to school readiness. And I'm going to remember to be more pronounced in saying that that's a benefit. I believe in your documents, there's a list of benefits. It makes a comment of like, add your own, because what I have found is you do this work, so much of it is unique to the part of Texas, and certainly in the Killeen, Coppers Cove, Central Texas area, the military presence is so very important, and there really has been a lot of interest at how does that model be able to adapt to that. To your point, as far as the workload, certainly your superintendent and your other leaders are going to make sure that we don't bring on more partners than we're able to support. The whole goal here is to not jump in and jump out of this type of program. It's to build it each year. So again, working on ways that you do that fairly, that you're equitable in the opportunity to partner with Killeen ISD. But to your point, if you're not there every day, you want to make sure that that quality is there to again, as I met with your leadership team, I kept hearing the Killeen way, the Killeen, and that was so very important to me, because I think that is the opportunity that you have here, is to be able to support that. Even in, and I apologize, I'm going on and on, I'm obviously very passionate about the program, but the ability to then have that informal relationship with your child care centers. So yes, there is professional development that's very organized, but there's also, as we know, teachers who have passion and teach from the heart, teach on nights and weekends, and do an awful lot of collaborating unofficially, if you will, or not directed by the school district. That has, again, when I talk about visiting a site today, had a lovely meeting with a child care center teacher who wants to continue their education. Often your alternative certification programs, you have to be participating with a public school. So that opens up that opportunity to assist with their continuing education as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Vice President.
Just kind of put a little bit of a finer point on it.
Yes, sir.
Are the organizations that we would partner with, are those organizations also permitted to accept vouchers or other state money?
Great question. So currently, you cannot enroll in a public school system and TEFA at the same time. I mean, and sometimes we refer to it as vouchers. What I would say is this very much complements TEFA. As we know, not all students are qualifying for TEFA. I'm excited to see over the years, I think that'll expand, but there would be nothing to prohibit a private school that is participating in TEFA or a student that's in TEFA, then by agreeing, if you will, or coming to an agreement to partner with Killeen ISD, then you would also then qualify all non-TEFA students to then benefit from the advantage, if you will, I'll say advantage of working with a public school.
So we would be applying school district funds to organizations that accept, and I'm just calling them vouchers for the sake of simplicity. That the answer is yes to that?
You could be, if you are. Sometimes the numbers, again, I'll tell you, we have a partnership in Midland, and the TEFA number is very small compared to the partnership number. Again, I think with any program there'll be adaptability as legislative sessions go through, but I think Killeen is certainly poised in a great position to show that this is a way for us also to recapture some students that have made the choice for private by still collaborating with them.
And my next question is, I heard the term school ready a whole bunch of times. Is there any data that indicates these programs directly correlate to improved student performance down the line?
I would say that it's fairly new in its development. The first public-private partnership would have been right after COVID. That's where funding became available to start, if you will, emphasizing that. So again, I don't think that there's enough years. It certainly is an opportunity to work with a university to, again, gather that data. But you do have changing students each year that again can skew it, or changing it within partnerships.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Superintendent.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Hartman. I know it's a
Thank
lot
you.
to digest, Board. So as Ms. Hartman Dr. Hartman knows, and the team, this is an exploration. And there's two primary things that we're focused on, or possibly more, but the two primary. Obviously, as we are losing enrollment, trying to stabilize it from an ADA perspective. But I would say more importantly, considering, that was a great question, Mr. Mentz, as it relates to how can we better position ourselves as students, particularly thinking about our community. And I'm not sure what the number is. My assumption would be the great majority of our child care students are entering our system. And how can we partner and ensure that those children are school ready by the time they enter our system? Ultimately, we think that would potentially better serve us as a community, as a school district, where we could infuse and embed and have some expectation. That would be by way of an MOU. And I would tell you, as superintendent, I would not be interested if the partner didn't agree and align their instructional program based on what we're doing as a system to ensure those kids are ready and aligned with what we're doing as a system. So that's the piece that really intrigued me as your superintendent. How do we better prepare children as they enter our system for kindergarten? And no.
Mr. Rainwater.
Excuse me, Ms. Hartman. Just two quick questions. Is there a residence requirement for our students? Many of our soldiers bring their kids from Coppers Cove and surrounding areas to daycare here in the community.
Yeah, there is not a requirement of residency as long as the district is open enrollment and accepts transfers.
Okay. And the second thing is the ADA monies that are possible for us to acquire, would we acquire them at the same rate that we would acquire those monies for students in pre-K through?
That is correct. Yes, sir. There's not a difference in the rate of a student outside your brick and mortar building. Maybe that's the best way to explain it, versus they are truly enrolled in Killeen ISD.
Okay. And if I understand, you're saying 55% of the money goes to the ISD?
Correct.
Of the ADA money, and then 45% goes to the daycare guys?
That's the most common percentage
Okay.
I've seen. I certainly have seen some waive the 5%. Currently, the last legislative session, there was an 85-15. But school districts can waive the 85-15. So similar to any other waiver that the district files, they would file a waiver saying that this is a mutually agreed upon percentage. And again, board approved to be able to file that.
Just to touch on Dr. Davis's remarks, have you ran into any issues about curriculum pieces in the daycares?
I really haven't. Sadly, there's not a whole lot of choices at that age level, and you'll be surprised at how many already are using curriculum that is similar to the district. And, to Dr. Davis's point, it also can be a cost savings, because if your private partner agrees to partner with the public school, then the school district can then provide that curriculum, if that makes sense, right? So then there's a lot of cost savings and other benefits as time goes by, as I mentioned, continuing education, opportunities, but curriculum is another one. As you increase your enrollment, so does your instructional allotment funding, so you have other funding sources above and beyond just the ones that we generally think of as ADA. Yes, sir.
Madam Jones.
So in regards to liability, where does that place the district? Because obviously, we're not going to be in the classroom with these students. They're not our teachers, but we're getting some of this revenue from TEA. So where does that place us on liability?
Yeah, certainly, it's a good question, obviously, to involve the attorney in the agreement. Some of those liability questions are ironed out or detailed within the agreement. I'm often asked how many attorneys have looked at it. I should have kept tally. I would say 35 to 40 different attorneys, both from the private entity as well as the public. So there are some, if you will, safeguards. And then the other thing I would say is, again, that selection, right, of finding partners that already have high quality. And I certainly visited some of those today. As you saw, Coppers Cove is doing this work, and certainly have ran into child care centers that students were there from Killeen as well as Coppers Cove. So again, to your point, it's both. It's that as well as making sure that even though they're off your campus, that you are a constant presence in information, communication. Any type of infraction in a child care center has to be turned over to licensing. That is a public website, so you will be able to see that. And again, sometimes those guidelines are even more stringent than what we would, have present in a public school system.
I asked that question because if somebody's child is injured or hurt, or they feel a lack of educational opportunity, KISD's pockets are going to look a lot bigger to them than a small establishment.
Yes.
And so, yes, I don't want to put ourselves out there for
No, those
more
are-
litigation than we need to.
Yes, ma'am. Those are
So
all
that's
good.
certainly
Yes.
why I asked that question.
No, those are very good points. And again, before any agreement is executed, we would want to run it by your district's attorneys, as well as, that's always the advice we give the private as well. And again, they usually do that because, again, they have boards or investors, or again, they have, they're an owner-operator themselves, so they realize the personal liability. But I would say even within our own districts, with the best effort, there are times that things happen and we have to work through that. I can say that we have not had that litigation come up in the 16 years, but again, all of that, the quality of your leadership team, if you will, the pacing or the slowness of making that decision, that's all very intentional. You don't want to, again, I'm going to use the term, just do it for financial reasons. It's all of the reasons and the points that y'all are bringing up that you work through those details very cautiously. You're welcome.
Madam Capito.
So I have two more questions. One is there some additional, or I guess the district has the ability to train those child care centers more on child find and ECI of identifying individuals or children with disabilities? Because I could see that being a benefit, is when our children come, sometimes they have not been identified or those indicators were not noticed, and maybe no fault of anyone, just lack of not knowing, so I could definitely see that as a benefit. But then the other question is, it sounds like it's pre-K through second grade. Does a district have the ability to maybe say we only want to do pre-K 3 and 4 and not
Absolutely.
the older grades, because that's a lack in what we currently have, and that we
Yes.
could fill that need and start there, and then add on if we chose to, but if we didn't, we could stay with the population of children maybe that we're currently not serving?
Yeah, no, again, I love the points that you're bringing up. A very important component of these partnerships in this particular model is that the agreements are year to year with a 90-day out clause, meaning for any reason, if the district does not feel that it's fulfilling the needs of the district and working together in a positive way, then there's just a notification that then makes the agreement end. The 90 days is, again, usually it brings you to a semester, so whatever adjustments you need to make, we work very closely with your business office to make sure that it is a self-funded program. But to your point, again, you're at the table to help, again, to have that communication with any special needs support, dyslexia. Certainly, we have seen an increase in some behavioral challenges, and I would say that dyslexia and behavioral challenges are usually the top ask, if you will, of the child care centers. Is that something that the district is able to help us with? Which we know in the long run ends up helping the district as they enter the public school system, and certainly just the right thing to do for children and families as well. But those are very good points.
Mr. Vice President.
I'll try to keep these questions short.
No, that's okay.
When you say that there's a violation or some kind of issue and they're reporting, I understand that there's a reporting chain back up to the state.
Yes.
There's no report back to the district, or is that an individual contract-based
It's an
requirement?
I would
Okay.
say an individual contract-based requirement.
And so then each contract that the district would have with these individual providers, it's not a boilerplate, it was an individually negotiated contract. Okay.
Correct.
And then my next and final question is the curriculum what ability do we have to dictate what is taught in these facilities? Or again, is that an individually negotiated?
It's individually negotiated. We certainly have some districts that have a number of curriculum that they're find acceptable. And then I would say also on the private side, there are some that say, no, this is what I want taught. The most common I would say is sometimes a Becca is one that, but certainly Frog Street, and these are all, CLI, different curriculums that you may have heard over your years serving on the board. But again, those are all handled individually. You want to make sure that it's a mutually beneficial partnership and that all parties understand what they're committing to. So again, if the curriculum is an important piece, a component of that, and I would say, given, the conversations with your leadership team, it definitely is, then that would all be communicated in the very beginning. You're welcome.
Any other questions? I think an important thing for me, excuse me, is the opportunity for kids to get, a jump, on the education process. And I think about my own child who attended Children's Treehouse, and I credit my daughter's kindergarten teacher, Miss Kerb, who was amazing with everything that she did for my kid at Clifton Park. I'm just plugging everything, giving everybody their credit. But she would look at me all the time, and she goes, oh, I can't even take credit for this one. She was like, wherever she was at before she got here, she was like, they must have been amazing. And it's about getting the access to that quality education before you walk in there as a 5-year-old. And so then as a 5-year-old, you are really sharp and you're really ready to cut some education then.
100%. I love that you share that, because if you ask any kindergarten teacher, they can almost tell you where they think each child has come from, again, just because of accessibility, not for any other reason, but did this, Child Care Center A have the same opportunity for support as Child Care Center B or C? As I shared with you, sometimes child care centers or private end up being where when a educator has retired, they go into the private, system. So.
Well, and that's that's important that you say that, because the individual that ran Children's Treehouse at the time was a former educator, and everyone talked about how she pretty much, in essence, had the cheat code for what needed to take place to position the kids to be successful. And so it's just something I've experienced personally, and I just think it was a game changer. Now, my daughter's kindergarten teacher was amazing, but she said she could be as amazing as she was because of the foundation that existed when my child walked in there on day one. And so that's how I look at this. Is I don't know if it will be that, but that's where my excitement for it comes from, is like, if it can be for another kid what it was for my child in her 2-, 3-, and 4-year-old experience in a public education environment, then it's a game changer. And if it starts to impact our kids, how they show up from day one, to me, it's a win-win. Now, there's some details that obviously would have to be worked out, and my colleagues have talked about many of those. But man, if the return is the experience that my child got, it's a pretty amazing opportunity, I think.
Thank you.
Yes, Madam Secretary.
Ms. Hartman, you mentioned that the passion you have for the program, and over the years, you've said that this would probably be the largest district.
It would be.
That would be considering this public-private partnership. So what kind of challenges might a larger district like unto us, the top 2 or 3 things that we might need to look for?
Yeah, I think working out that selection process, right, to not just, there are so many benefits, but sometimes it's also determining the timing of when to bring on more private partners. So starting, I would say, very slowly, so that, again, that you're fine-tuning all of the issues or the questions that you brought to us today. And some of that is already, I would say, in the system. As I mentioned, TWC allowing the grant for you have to be a Texas Rising Star 3 or 4. Right, so they're already saying you have to be at a level ready to grow professionally. So I think that is a challenge. And like every district in Texas, your internal staff is already stretched pretty thin. And so, again, making sure that myself and the team are able to take on that load until a comfort becomes present, and that we are able to assess, is there the opportunity to add either or redistribute some of the responsibilities? I mentioned to you the coding of employee, non-employee. Those are all PEMS data-related information that we have learned over the years. But once you get the hang, once you're able to understand that and we work very closely with region centers as well to work through all those kinks of being able to make sure that we stay in compliance, right? Because that's very important. You know, the flow back of funds, you know, can be a challenge for some districts, but again, making sure within those agreements, are those payments monthly, quarterly, making sure that the district receives that funding or is in a comfortable position to spend any funding before they've collected that funding, I would say would also be something really to work very closely with your business manager to make sure that it is a program that does not cost the district funding.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Madam Jones.
So the income, the 50%, if that's what's agreed upon, that would flow back to the private sector,
Yes, ma'am.
will they be using those funds to hire more staff, I'm assuming, quality, educated staff? Will they also be reducing the cost of the daycare services to our population? Because that in itself is so prohibitive for so many parents.
Yeah, and I love kind of telling this story. Again, as the partnerships and the work within the district goes on, what I have going on right now is conversations with the child care also offering reduced rates for school district employees. Right. Just recently in the last legislative session, they allowed, you know, classroom teachers to be a qualifier for pre-K. But what I'm seeing is the private is also open to infants and toddlers. So when I say non-school age children, is that part of the partnership? As again, I would say, again, going slowly, but is that an added benefit to a particular district? But yes, to your point, I will say generally we stay out of the spending of, well, I shouldn't say generally, that they become private funds. I have seen that times they're able to offer scholarships to low-income students that may have a challenge paying for daycare with those added funds. I've seen them certainly increase wages and salaries for their own staff. And at times, we have one partnership is very small. And I often, you know, wonder why she goes through all, and this is a West Texas partnership, goes through an awful lot of work for just such a small, you know, financial payback. And she shares that allows her to have part-time help within her child care center for her to have a break. Right? So again, it's wrapping your head around that the challenges in the private, they're there. When we talk, and I certainly am an advocate for teachers and the need to increase salaries, but when you compare that to the child care center, they've often worked 20, 30 years caring for children and sharing stories, you know, much like your president just shared with me, and their salaries will be, you know, $13, $14 an hour after 20, 30 years, you know, doing essentially very similar work that our staff is doing as well. So again, because the flow back goes private, each entity may choose that. Certainly, I would say through communication, again, finding that good partner. What are your goals? Certainly, sometimes it is. I just, again, visited with one that wanted to improve their playground and saw this as an opportunity. And we know, even within school systems, that is a category that's sometimes very difficult to find the funds to do, you know, those improvements. So I'm hoping that's answering your question.
I think of all of the families out there that can't qualify, they can't afford the $600, $800 a month for childcare.
Yes.
And if they have 3 children, that's even more money, you know,
yes.
$2,400, they can't do that.
Yes, ma'am.
So they select the at-home care, or they select, you know, Mr. Rogers to be the daycare element. And so if this program would allow that money to flow into those, which then allowed a discount for some of those parents to get their children into those daycares? Or is it going to allow for daycare ownership, and I'm not being cynical or questioning their integrity, but our goal isn't to line their pockets or to make their profit a little bit higher. It's to provide education across the board for a bigger span of children. And so that was where, are there bumpers on it? Are there something that gives us some kind of control in
Yeah, I would
monitoring
say
that?
again, to that agreement, again, deciding who you're partnering with and does that line with your overall goals. I will say what I've also seen probably most common is a freezing of the fees or the charges. So that ends up being a savings to families. And so the private, learning center or childcare center will report that every year they have to raise, but because now they have an additional funding source, they're able to freeze those funds, rather than having to continue to raise that for families. But you do share. It 100% is not just a state challenge, it's a national challenge, the cost of childcare. And, we certainly there's a connection to these partnerships, I would say, to helping the workforce. Because again, if we can lower the cost of taking care of our children, then certainly there are more people that are able to go back to work. I haven't seen an increase. I would say a freezing, or again, there certainly have been that have been able to offer scholarships because it's a funding source that's coming in and opening that up again, I'm going to say a misconception in my experience is that often people will stereotype and say public school doesn't, want to work with private, and y'all are a testament to that's not true. Right? And I would say the same thing with the private, that sometimes people want to stereotype that there's a particular child or a profile, if you will, of a child that they want to accept. My experience has been that they want to make sure that they give the very best services that they can. So when you're talking about special needs or dyslexia or any ESL, for example, really helping everyone have that skill set to care for the children has been more what my experience has been, is a desire to make sure that we reach all children than it has been to, and certainly within any system, there could be people that are abusing that system, to your point. But I think that your leadership team has done an excellent job of moving very slow. Again, I'm going to say very methodically in our conversations to make sure that as y'all enter this work, that it's reflective of the values and the goals of Killeen ISD. Welcome.
Any other questions from trustees? Thank you, Ms. Hartman. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Creighton. We'll now move to agenda item B, which is a discussion of the Texas Teacher Evaluation and Support System T-Test Certified Appraiser List for the 2026-2027 school year. Welcome, Mr. Baker.
President Williams, Dr. Davis, board members, thank you so much. It's that time of year again as we get ready for the start of school where we need to present to you a list of certified appraisers to conduct the Texas Teacher Evaluation Support System throughout the 26-27 school year. We provided you the list of the administrators who have gone through either the refresher course online or have actually attended the 3-day face-to-face training. And so we provided that list to you, and what we're going to ask you is put that on the consent agenda so those folks can do what they need to do as far as the T-tests in the coming year.
This item is going to be placed on the consent agenda. Any questions from trustees? Thank you. Thumbs up. Thank you. We appreciate you. All right, we'll now move to agenda item C, which is the Third Future 1882 Campus Readiness Summary by department. Welcome, Mr. Heckenberg.
Good evening, Dr. Davis, Mr. President, members of the board. Come with you tonight to give you an update on the status of our partnership with Third Futures and their readiness to launch for the upcoming school year. So, first, I just want to say thanks to Ms. Felder, first and foremost, and the rest of the district staff. They really dug into this to do a quality walkthrough, to do a good conditions check, diving into the contract and finding some things. And we'll touch base on that at the end of the brief. And I've also got team here from Third Futures. Mr. Willis will be up here to speak towards the end to answer any other additional questions for readiness at the end of the presentation. So last week, over the 4 days, the team dug in and executed a checklist of readiness across all of the departments to make sure that we were ready to launch on the 4th. And we're going to dive into those specific subjects here on the next couple slides. So starting with facilities, and it's broken down. One of the things we did when we picked this up is we went back to the contract and mapped out Third Futures requirements, KISD requirements, and made sure we had tracked all the shall statements in the contract, did a requirements traceability matrix, and that's what we will operate off of as our kind of guiding document as we move through this contract partnership and what we use to inspect. So for facilities, you can see the items there of note where you see new. That's where we ran the contract through and did this traceability matrix. We found some things that were in some of the addendums that we added to the original checklist. That's what the new means there, is they were added when we pulled them off the addendums for the contract. So Adam and his team did a thorough walkthrough, HVAC, safety, custodial, grounds. No significant issues there, and they are ready to go from a facility standpoint. For technology, that was complete as of today. The last item was the phone intercom operational piece. That was executed today to make sure that they were everything connected and ready to operate. Moving into the police/school safety, these first 3 items, the access control, the visitor management, and then the emergency fire drills, those are actually being done this week, 2 tomorrow and 1 on the 30th. In prep for the brief, we went ahead knowing we had to submit this early, but those are being executed, truth in lending, those are being executed this week and will be done by the end of the week to make sure we are good to go there. And then moving on to transportation, same thing. The last piece is the inclement weather transportation discretion communication. That'll be 29 July. Honestly, I think that's going to be our biggest communication challenge with Third Futures, is as they talked about when they first partnered with us, there are days that they will stay open where we may close or have delayed starts. And that communication piece between Third Futures and ourselves and transportation and our communication department are the things we are working diligently to iron out to make sure that we are speaking with one voice in terms of how we are getting kids to school or not and where that responsibility lies. Yes, sir.
Mr. Heckenberg, and I remember that conversation because they spoke about how they would remain open, say, on a day that we declare inclement weather.
Yes, sir.
And so is there a possibility on a day that we declare inclement weather that we would still transport kids?
No, sir, and that's
Okay.
that's the agreement. So, no, sir, we would not, and then it becomes, they would stay open if parents want to bring their kids there, it becomes that responsibility, and whether it's 5 or 300, they would manage that piece, and that's the communication piece, so we make sure we're very articulate about when transportation says, or when KISD says, we are closed, we are on a delayed start, we make sure we're very clear that that does not speak for Third Futures and those requirements there.
Exactly, and I just want to make sure because I want us to support Third Future because those are our kids.
Yes.
But I was just wanting to make sure because usually when we say delayed start, it's because of safety.
Safety,
And I
yes,
just
sir.
want to make sure that our buses aren't, we got a group that's out there trying to run because, so, thank you.
No, sir. Yes, sir. School nutrition, again, no issues there in the coordination. Equipment is operational, inspected. Mr. Smith's team has been over there, and they're prepared to support, as they do all of our other campuses. And then human resources and risk management, again, no significant issues there. We are ready to go. Badges issued, paperwork's been processed. And then the last, on the student support services, the only thing that is not complete, and is not complete because we haven't done it for our district yet as well, is the rolling out of Branching Minds, which is a new software application that we are using for MTSS, which focuses on Tier 2 intervention. We are phasing that in with our campuses, and as we phase it in with ours, we will also phase it in with theirs as an option for them to support, if they choose to use so, that Tier 2 intervention. And then communications, Everything has been updated. We are working the parent communication protocols formally, and that really, I've talked to Karen, the focus is again, primarily focused on transportation, but other issues as well, but that is where we see the most friction potentially coming forward, and make sure we have a clear phone roster, sequence of who is called and the decision-making, similar to do with when we have those discussions with Garrison. As we decide to make those calls, we will have that same type of collaborative relationship with Third Futures when inclement weather is pending.
Mr. Heckenberg, and just so, and this is a staff deal just for clarity, but I know how I take a lot of pride, and I think we've gotten very good in how we communicate with our families about occurrences. How is that synced up with Third Future in terms of like when there's a campus occurrence there, in terms of our familiarity with their model and how they're going to communicate with our families through their, will it mirror ours, or will there be some?
I don't want to say specifically, and I can let Third Futures talk to that about how they communicate out. It won't look, it'll look different than ours because it'll be in their packaging, how they send it out. But that is where we're being very clear about, here are the things that we typically will push out from a district standpoint. Here are the things that they have ownership for pushing out. And then there's a small list of things that we will collaboratively push out. And that is what Karen is working with them right now to finalize as we move into that season.
If you would, just make sure your team is, you know, sharing the details of our model, because I would think they probably aren't trying to have upset parents because their model isn't as broad as ours, but just FYI. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Business services and finance, no issues there on how we are processing payments and the flow of that money. And then state and federal, same thing. Very few requirements there from Ms. Shin, but they are being tracked as well. And then government legal compliance, again, no issues there. We are tracking all within the contract. As I transition to the last slide, you know, just know that there are 11 departments that will continue doing walkthroughs throughout. This isn't the last time we're going to set foot on that campus as district personnel. We have a schedule. We're going to be doing monthly site walks, data reviews with the team as well to consistently stay partnered with them and bring those results of that back to the board at a cyclical cadence. As you can see there, we've identified 73 different contract source requirements that we are tracking. That's every shall statement in the contract that talks about what the district's required to do. We have the same information from the Third Future side of what they are required to do. And I do believe that we have set the conditions for them to open. And at this point, I will pause and hand it off to Ms. Willis if he has any comments to make. So pending any questions you have, sir.
Questions from trustees? Mr. Rainwater.
You talked about certifications. You said all teachers are certified, but you didn't specify the certifications.
No, sir. No, all teachers are not certified. They are not required to have certified teachers.
I just want to be clear that you're saying that if you're at Third Future School, you don't have to be a certified teacher in the state of Texas. What do you have to be?
Hello, good evening, everyone. All teachers or anyone that's leading instruction, they have to have their 4-year degree.
For your degree
Yes, sir.
in any subject area?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Floor still. Any other questions from trustees? There being none, thank you, Mr. Heckenberg. We appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, we'll now move to agenda item D, discussion of fiscal year 2027 district budget planning. Welcome, Callan Dayton.
Thank you very much, and good evening. We will continue our budget story this evening. So just a recap of what we've gone through at this point. You see prior meetings, we talked about decreases in revenue, particularly related to impact aid and to ADA. Talked about potential changes and changes that we have incorporated into the budget related to vacancy factor, and attendance percentages. And so tonight, we're going to go through an overview, and then the main purpose of tonight is to have a general pay increase discussion. And then there's agenda item later in the meeting to approve that. Very quickly, these are our assumptions again. Do want to point out, first of all, under revenues, we have received our values, certified values from the tax appraisal district, but have not had approval from TEA or submitted that information to TEA yet. That's due by the 1st of August. The next to the last item under revenues, want to point out again, we discussed changes to ADA percentages, and so have incorporated the 93.25 that was discussed last meeting. Under the expenditures, very similarly, the last item, the unfilled positions or the vacancy factor, have bumped that up to the 97.5%. And then the second and the third item, general pay increase, again, we will talk about that tonight. And the starting teacher pay, that we will discuss tonight as well. So here's where we left last time, as of July 14th. You see the amounts there. The working revenue and the expenditures, that's where we started the meeting. The two changes that I mentioned have absolutely been made, the ADA change and the vacancy factor. And then just for discussion purposes, initially had put in kind of what I felt like was the agreement that night when we left. Again, obviously, we're going to discuss further, but that would put us at a $3.1 million deficit. And then again, you see the priorities and those things that have been included in the budget thus far. Wanted to put this information in front of you. These are the historical general pay increases for the last many years. You can see in last year was the first year that House Bill 2 was implemented, and so you see under the teachers column that it was a dollar amount, and it was potentially up to $5,000, and it was not a percentage for those teachers with 3 years of experience or more. And then also wanted to point out, you see in 22-23 some significant increases at that time, and I think that was related to severe teacher shortages and trying to recruit teachers into the district. And so then here's our discussion. Some of these have changed and some of these have not since last time, and I'm going to try and walk you through these. The first item is a $14 an hour minimum and keeping the stratification of the current pay scale. And I think that's very important. It's not just raising the bottom, but it is keeping the stratification of the pay scale in place. And so I know that's one of the things we have been working towards, is continuing to raise that minimum hourly rate. Obviously, it's not as high as we would like it to be, but we feel this is a step in the right direction. Second item is the $50 per month, $600 per year, that's intended to very closely match the increase in health insurance for our employees. And you see the cost there to the right. I want to point out in those two options, you'll see the asterisk to the left. So that's going to be our recommendation. But then do have, again, some other options that we had talked about last time, some we had not. You see the 1% for all employees and broken down by non-exempt staff and exempt staff. Same exact thing for 2% for all of our employees. You see that amount, the $6.3 million, again broken down by non-exempt and exempt. And then if we were to do a one-time type payment, a net payment of $500, again, you can see by non-exempt and exempt what that would cost for a total of $4.8.
Can I sneak in a question real quick, Ms. Vaden?
Sure.
On the stratification, I want to make sure that everyone understands that. So when we go to the $14, so whoever's below 14, whoever's the furthest away in a particular group, if that's 72 cents to take them to $14 an hour, that means everybody gets us, because I know we talk about this, does it push, it pushes everyone so it doesn't close the gap on anyone, correct? So that means that 72 cents has to get distributed across that particular position and its classification. That's the way I understand it. I just want to make sure. I know it pushes up more than just those going to $14 an hour, but I wanted to get a little bit of clarity for the public so they can understand that.
So, kind of as an example, the $13 an hour obviously was bumped up to 14. For a particular pay grade, as an example, in MT1, the next jump had been $13.33. This one will work out to $14.33. So it mirrors that adjustment all the way through the pay grades.
Correct, and if you're on one of those particulars, you move with it as well, so it pushes, it in essence, probably impacts everyone in that particular position that's
Yes.
impacted by the move from 13. That's what I want to make
It
sure. I don't
will,
think a lot of
yes.
people understand that to the viewer at home, and I know me and Mr. Heckenberg have conversations about this, and I just want to make sure we give clarity to the public.
Yes, sir, and that point is greatly made because it's pushing everyone up to maintain the stratification. Because last year we did a $13 floor, but we didn't do stratification. And so the floor got higher, but we didn't maintain that gap. This year we're maintaining that gap, so that will take place before we do that 1% pay raise that Colin is talking about. So there's an adjustment made to maintain stratification before we jump into the next component of the general pay increase.
Thank you for the clarity.
Okay. So,
Question.
Yes, sir, Mr.
Thanks. I'm
Rainwater.
sorry to interrupt you. If I'm making $14 an hour in my pay grade, and the guys around me are making $12.50, then they're going to get $1.50 pay raise. Is that correct?
it's not
No.
going to be that simple. Again, it's all based on the tiers within the pay grade. The percentage difference between those two should remain the same. So the difference between the 12 and the 14 would stay.
Okay, but if I'm at 14, are you saying I'm going to get the percentage of the pay raise that
Absolutely.
everybody in my grade below 14, I'm going to get that as well?
Yes.
So that spreads it across the pay grade and
Correct.
seems to be fair. Okay, thank you.
Correct. You're welcome.
Yes, ma'am, back to you.
Okay, so in addition to the $14 an hour minimum, recommending a 1% for all employees. That ensures that everyone gets that the 1% or a general pay increase. Also then looking at the $50 a month, $600 a year, flat amount for every employee. And what I guess I'm excited about or pleased about the way this turns out, because that's a flat amount, the flat amount for a lower salary, a lower base salary, the flat amount is a higher percentage of that. So let me give you an example. Ran some numbers, just took an average, for instance, like an employee that makes $90,000. Doing it this way, if we were to do a 2% across the board, would be about an $1,800 raise, or would absolutely be a flat 2%. Doing it with the 1% and the flat amount is a 1.6% raise. Vice versa, for a $25,000 salary, a flat 2% would be $500, and doing the 1% and a flat amount comes up to a 3.4% raise. So the higher percentage is targeted toward those that are at the lower end of our pay scale. Okay? Clear as mud.
Madam Jones?
So, Ms. Vaden, you said the two that have the asterisks are the ones that are the administrative's recommendations. So, to make sure I understand, we're talking about bringing everybody up to $14 and stratifying that, and then giving the 1%. So, it should say 1% all employees after the 14. I guess I was confused about that line. So that includes the 3,898,000.
Correct.
All in. Okay, thank you.
I have a couple questions. One is on the $50 per month. Previously, when TAD came last year, we talked about we were kind of already given a high amount for our insurance reimbursement or something to that effect. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Yes, the district contribution towards health insurance,
And so
correct?
that rate is a little high, or that we just needed to be cautious of that. Is this going to keep us within that boundary?
Even though the amount was determined based on increases, this is not a contribution to the health insurance. This is a flat-out increase in salary for every individual.
Okay, so it still keeps us, it's
Right.
just an
Whether-
increase.
Whether they take the
Okay.
health insurance or not.
I just
That
wanted
was
to make
in-
sure that
yeah,
we.
that was
'cause
the intention.
He had mentioned that last year.
And I mean, the realization is, every employee has increasing costs.
Absolutely.
And so this would be in their salary.
Okay, then that answered all my questions. Thank you.
So at this point, that's going to be the recommendation for later. And I think, let's see. So with that said, assuming that recommendation is approved, we would have the amounts on the left side of this slide. Also want to point out, since the last time we met, there have been some changes in hiring vacancy factor, vacancies, individuals that have been hired into some of those jobs. The actual salary will be less than what was anticipated when it was vacant. When a position is vacant, it's budgeted, I believe, at the midpoint for that job, and so as individuals are hired, it may be less than that. And so that the expenditure amount has decreased by about $800,000 since we last met. And then, again, following that same logic all the way down, the last item would be our recommendation for a total of 7.4, which would put us at a $3.1 million deficit. Listed some other options on the right side of the screen just for comparison purposes. Again, I think based on the reasons we identified, that the plan as proposed is really strong. Okay. Then here's our two slides again. Again, tonight, we expect GPI discussion and approval. Again, we've gotten our appraisal district values. And so then the next step will be to get our maximum compressed rate approved and then come back with budget in the summary format that we are required to review as far as TEA. And then here's our dates. Again, we've already gotten the first one. Tonight, we'll approve a GPI, receive our maximum compressed rate, and then at our next meeting, we will present what should be the near final budget, again, in the summary format required by TEA. We'll certainly be open for any discussion or questions at that point. Following that, we will publish our required notices and then have a meeting on the 25th and adopt a budget.
Questions? Thank you, Callan Baden.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate you. We'll now move to agenda item E, which is discussion of the Clean ISD Board operating procedures. Trustees, there's been some adjustments made to that. Those copies have been provided to everyone. We're missing a trustee tonight, so if you would, just in your leisure over the next 2 weeks, please review that, and then we will take it up for consideration at the next meeting. But get that input in if you've got it. There are notes in there that'll say whose recommendation it is. There's some that come from our legal counsel that we're strongly encouraged to do as well. So I appreciate everybody's work on that. So any other questions on board operating procedures? All right, we'll now move to agenda item 6, the consent agenda. These are items that can be approved as a whole with one vote. A is a consideration of a memorandum of understanding with Central County Services for the 2026-2027 school year. Agenda item B, which is a consideration of a paraprofessional school district teaching permits for CASD teach participants. And those are the 2 consent agenda items. What's the desire of the Board of Trustees? Madam Secretary.
Mr. President, I move to accept consent agenda items 6A and B as written.
We have a motion by Secretary Adams. We have a second by Madam Capito. Any further discussion regarding the consent agenda? There being none, all those in favor, show of hands. We have 6 in favor, none in opposition, 1 absent and not participating, and Trustee Rodney Gilchrist. Thank you very much. We'll now move to agenda item 7, action items for consideration. A, consideration of a resolution recognizing the extracurricular status of the Bell County, Texas 4-H organization and the adjunct faculty agreement for the 2026-2027 school year. Dr. Buckley, and I knew it wasn't you because I'm looking at you and you're not moving. Welcome, Ms. Burke. Questions from trustees? It's an action item. Madam Capito.
I move to approve the proposed resolution recognizing the extracurricular status of the Bell County, Texas 4-H organization and an adjunct faculty agreement for the 2026-27 school year as presented.
We have a motion by Madam Capito. We have a second by Secretary Adams. Any further discussion by the Board of Trustees? There being none, all those in favor, show of hands. We have 6 in favor, none in opposition, 1 absent and not participating, and Trustee Rodney Gilchrist. Thank you, Ms. Burke. We appreciate you. We'll now go to agenda item 7B, consideration of the Texas Education Agency application for optional flexible school day program and Graduation Alliance INC student reengagement program agreement. Ms. Burke.
not living up to the standards that we need to be satisfactory within the program. They provide accommodations for 504, special ed, and emergent bilingual students, and they attend weekly meetings with KISD personnel. Big point is it prepares course completion reports for ADA and shares this with KISD staff. Okay. What do we do? Once again, it's a partnership. Once again, we're trying to make sure that we don't have any students that fall through the cracks. We have a moral obligation not only to have students get to high school, but what are we doing once they go beyond? These students stay within our community. We want to give them the best start that they can in their lives. And what we're in the nascent phase of this program, but it is once again another way that we can reach out in our community and stop the dropout crisis. So you can see here all the ways that KISD is involved, and the way that can do it that we're using is our Pathways Academic Campus, and that is something that we want to grow. Thank you. All right, we're at pilot eligibility. You can see that. It's all based upon the 98s and the leavers and the dropout codes. So what we want to do is a pilot program. We want the greatest amount of success. The KISD eligibility criteria was established by a committee and used to take our initial students to the most eligible. You can see the numbers here, breaking it down. What we have for KISD, this is our policy, is you can see there they have to have a minimum of 3-star assessments and are no more than 22 years old as of September 1st of the current school year. Also, it's imperative that they have an address within the KISD school district. The program overview, you can see by the numbers, is 222 students were referred, and you're going to say 126 were unable to be contacted. Graduation Alliance tries to contact these students 8 times. It could be by phone, it can be by email. It's trying to find where these students are. So you can see there of the 74 that were contacted, 48 were ineligible. Often they had moved out of the state or moved out of the district. They had gone into another program or they had graduated. Okay? And so when we break it down, 16 just said that they were not interested. We had 9 students enrolled, and out of those 9, 59 classes were completed. So once again, this is a pilot. It is small, but it's something that we most definitely want to grow. And you can see there we have had some successes. So this year we had 3 2026 graduates, 1 from Ellison High School, who was the life of the graduation. He was so excited during that process. 2 from Shoemaker, and we have 4 students who are still currently enrolled, 2 projected to graduate by the end of the year, and 2 did not complete the program. So it is small, y'all. It is small, but it is mighty. Because it doesn't matter if it's 10 kids, 100 kids, but we have already changed the life and the trajectory of not only former KISD students, but their families and what they can do in the community. So we are incredibly excited about this program, and we're really looking forward to growing it. All right, talking about the costs. All right, when we talk about within the cost, you can see here its funding is based upon ADA. The district reclaims the state funding. Obviously, when we talk about that, that is very big within the PEAMS department. And the district is only billed if a student course is funded and eligible. When we talk about the specifics, we're not charged for summer. We're not charged for makeup bad weather days. All the courses are done online. The ADA is returned to KISD. And Graduation Alliance is paid for eligible funded, and there's no billing for federally funded SPED and ESL. But as we grow, we're going to see on the next slide, is we get a greater percentage of the ADA back. So those are the percentages which we're looking at this particular moment. And there it is in more detail for your perusal. Okay, so tonight we ask for the board to approve the continued participation in this TEA program. The whole goal is to continue to reach all students in our community, particularly students who otherwise may never have earned a diploma. So when we look upon this, like we talk about, we want all our students to be successful. And this is a second chance. One of the many ways KISD works beyond what we are supposed to do, because we're proud of our community. We want to give these students a chance to, like we talked about, I just talked about before, it's not just changing the trajectory of their lives, it's changing the trajectory of their children's life, and generationally. So this is why we are really requesting that we continue this. We have a very small pilot program, but we hope that it will continue to grow. Any questions?
Trustee Rainwater.
Funding slide, will you please? The next one, I believe. Make sure I'm understanding. Telling me that KISD spent $10,388.88 on the program.
Let me get my, where's my troops? Come on.
We received.
We received.
10,000 in ADA, and we paid back 8,000 to the company that was working with these kids, and we made $1,400, but we didn't have to do anything for it. None.
Nothing.
Nothing.
I don't understand, I'm sorry.
So we re-enroll the student, so they go find a 22-year-old that has dropped out.
Those 4 students.
The eight students, or
students.
9, however many, they re-enroll them. And as they complete the course, they bill us, we re-enroll them, so we're getting the ADA funding, but we're not educating them, they're educating them. So as they complete courses, they bill us for the completion rate. But they don't bill us for the extra if they're special ed or bilingual services. They bill us for the average daily attendance, basic allotment.
Who's they, Susan, you talking about?
Graduation Alliance. This is how they get paid.
So this is part of a graduation alliance. All this is online,
Yes.
every bit of it.
Mm-hmm.
So go back to show me how many students we actually enrolled and contacted. So we're 212 referrals, and we actually served 9 students.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Does that seem like a pretty ineffective program to any of y'all?
No, sir, it doesn't, because it's a start. So this is something that hasn't been done before, and it calls in, we have PEAMS, which is right here. Sorry, Ms. Wolf. But you've got to start somewhere. And so now we've gone through it a little bit with our first year working with Graduation Alliance, and how do we track these students? So if they're actually trying to reach out on 8 separate occasions to try to get someone to be part of the program, that's a question. Do we keep going? Do we start stalking social media? Do we try to find where they are? But it's a start, sir, and it can only get better through effective means of how do we track our students once they graduate? Do we just cut them off and we move forward, or do we try to see where they are over the next 4 years?
I apologize, but tell me the total cost of the program to KISD.
$0.
Mr. Hicks, did you get a salary?
Yes, sir, I did.
What's so how can it be $0?
The program itself is cost neutral with regard to how our students come in and out and how we service our students. Those employees who work for KISD would be getting paid regardless because we have other responsibilities as well. However, when we talk about Graduation Alliance specifically, what we're speaking of is the ADA comes in, a percentage of the ADA goes to them, a percentage of the ADA comes to us. The ADA that we receive is based on the number of students that are enrolled and what is happening with them. So because they get 92% of the ADA, that is because of the number of students that we have enrolled in the program itself. Graduation Alliance does, sir, and that's based on the number of students we had. However, before Graduation Alliance came along, we got 0% of the ADA, and those students did not get an opportunity to graduate as well. So those 3 graduates that did make it across the line were just at home doing nothing and wanting to have the opportunity. That particular young man wanted that opportunity, but he couldn't get it, his words completely. So this gave him that opportunity. It gave us the 8% of the ADA, and it gave him an opportunity to be able to have that degree, that diploma.
And they're no longer dropouts.
Correct.
And just, go ahead, sir.
And the percent of the ADA that we got was 8% of the net, I guess the gross. And that helped us in terms of the dropouts and students getting their diplomas. Anything about career and CCMR? Does that affect that anyway? Those students probably aren't likely down that category anyway. So once these students drop out of KISD, then our job's to find them.
Yes, sir. This gives us the opportunity to be able to go and find students who otherwise have given up on the educational system and the process and are unable to receive their diploma.
And probably moved away, moved out of our district.
Yes, sir.
Have it?
And yes, sir. And in
I'm
some
sorry.
cases, they're at home.
I see.
And I think too, when you look at even the presentation about early childhood today, or you look at all the models about virtual school, this is where they're going. So even though they're TEA mandated and they're, controls within TEA, this seems to be, and where's Callan, because she's the financial person, but this seems to be the model that we're moving towards in the state of Texas, is that we're going to bring them in, we're going to get the ADA, but we're going to give a percentage to them, but then it has a knock-on effect. So when we talk about that as being cost neutral, in reality, I know that it doesn't sound like that is, because we're having to do some of the work, but what's more important, sir, is that we're helping our community. And that's something that we should have a lot of pride in, is that, yes, the numbers were very, very low this year, but we had numbers and we made changes in students' lives this year. And hopefully, as we grow and we look at how we track our students once they graduate, well, we're using the impetus of pathways with the at-risk population and how many students we have there. We already have, I think, 40 that we're already targeting for this year before we have to go out and try to find. It's like, come on, let's get your high school diploma, because the impetus has changed versus a GED versus a high school diploma, and they are still our students. They are still clean ISD, and they're part of our community. So talking about net cost efficiency, but we're also changing the trajectory of people's lives.
When you say percentage of ADA, which ADA you're talking about? The ADA that we would acquire if they stayed in school the entire year? The ADA that we would have acquired had they not missed so many days? How do you compute that?
It's daily.
Daily, which days?
You want to go ahead and talk about it?
So we get a spreadsheet from Graduation Alliance with the days that the students met attendance.
Has missed from the total school year.
And so it is coded every single day they have met attendance. That day goes in, and that's what's reported for us to get funding.
So we're recouping attendance for guys that have dropped out, or I guess officially dropped out of school, based on the number of days that KISD lost the funding for, and we get 85, they get 85% of that.
Of the daily rate. Yes, sir.
Okay. You mentioned something about working with students in pathways that I didn't hear you say before. So are you telling me a tenet of this program is that you reach out to pathway students who you know are likely to drop out of school prior to them dropping out?
We have not done that as of yet, but that is when we're talking about this being a pilot and how can we expand the program. It just gives us an opportunity to be able to do that, because we know we have students that are in pathways, that are at the Pathways Academic Campus that do drop out. So we have the opportunity there to grasp them before they leave, or when they do leave, and say, this is another opportunity for you to be able to finish. So it gives us an opportunity to grow with students that are homegrown that we have right there, and before they get an opportunity to move out, and give them that extra thought process to say, there is something else that I can do that will allow me to be able to be successful, and I can do this at home as well.
Mr. Hicks, is that your tasking?
Which
Is that your job, to work with the students in pathways that you think are going to be potential dropouts?
Oh, no, sir. I'm sorry. My apologies.
Then who does that?
That's done through the counselors and the registrars at Pathways, which is aligned with their job responsibilities. Yes,
Would
sir.
you have any gross estimate about how many kids they worked with?
The dropout right now is about 56. Angel ran the numbers today for us.
56
Yes.
from pathways?
Yes, sir, just from Pathways that are dropping out, that are 98s.
And so you were successful with 4 of those kids? How many?
Those students
Of the
there
56?
were not even the ones from Pathways. This was a completely different list.
Different deal? Okay. All right,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you very much.
You're very welcome, sir. Thank you.
Madam Capito.
Thank you, and I appreciate that we are constantly looking for better ways to serve the kids that we're not able to, or, do these things. I think what we're just wanting to make sure is anytime we enroll in a program, we want to make sure that it's not tapping you guys out more, that it's not more work on you. So maybe, Mr. Hicks, could you just tell us, this program, obviously, we're only keeping about 8% of the funding. About how much of your day or week does this take of your time? I think that's more so what we're trying to make sure, that if we are going in programs and we're getting small percentages, hey, I take 8% of something than nothing, right?
Yes, ma'am.
But if it takes 50% of your job description, now it's not equitable on a return on investment. And I think that's maybe some of what we're trying to get to here.
Definitely. Thank you so very much. We meet with the Graduation Alliance Implementation Manager on Tuesdays, and that's when we have an opportunity to run numbers and also to be able to look at the effectiveness of the program. I can go onto the dashboard and look at it every day if I would like, and the dashboard has all the information with regard to the credits that the students have received, the classes that they're taking, the interactions that they've had with the academic counselors as well. So with regard to how much of my day it takes, or of my time overall, I would probably say it's probably in the neighborhood of about 5% or less, because I don't have to put the effort in, because it's already being done and worked through on the Graduation Alliance side. They're doing the lion's share of the work.
Okay, so basically you're doing an hour, maybe two of a week, so about 4 hours a month. So it's not really
Yes, ma'am.
taking up your time, and the administrative cost of that is really covered by the 8%.
Yes, ma'am, definitely.
Madam Secretary.
One of the slides said something about the age of 22 or younger, but I'm looking at the actual program agreement, and it says 26. So is it 22 for us because it's individual to KISD, or?
One of the goals that we set out was to be able to have success and find success in this pilot program. And that's why the institution of the 22 years old and also the 3 out of the 5-star or EOCs was instituted. So that way, in the beginning, we could have some successes and say, okay, this is working with this group of students. What does this look like for us overall? So it allowed us to be able to have that. I mean, yes, you are correct. The state does mandate that, or does state that is up to 26 years old. Okay. And that's an opportunity that we may have as we move forward to be able to expand.
Okay. So we had 9 students, 4 in the pilot graduated, correct?
3 graduated.
3 graduated,
Yes.
1 did not. Do you have goals for next year? Do you, how do you, with this pilot, we had this many this year, we're going to project this many? Is it that kind of process, or not so much?
Oh, yes, ma'am. What we're looking at doing, as I said, the question becomes, as far as accountability is concerned, because we don't want to tax the system, because the students are enrolled into the Pathways Academic Campus. So we want to make sure that we have students that we're going to be successful and not detrimentally affect Pathways academic success with regard to their EOC scores. So when we talk about looking at those 52 students that are currently coded as 98s and looking at that as far as growing the program, beginning there and having them closer, and more than likely being able to pull more students and have more students enroll in the program in the beginning at the ground level, because they're already here right now. And that way it won't tax that particular part of the system as well. Okay. But more of the conversation definitely needs to surround how will we take care of the accountability factor to ensure that we have success for the students and we're able to grow the program, understanding the accountability as well.
Okay, so the 98 leaver code for dropouts, and you're at Pathways working with 52 projected students who might drop out. And you're working with those students, or are you identifying other students all over the district, or is it just at Pathways?
No, we have the opportunity to still look at our students across the board that meet the qualifications that we have, in addition to those 52 students at Pathways. Okay. Yes, ma'am. We're looking to cast our net wide, because we have seen the success of the program. So if the board, says, okay, we want to continue this program, we definitely want to be able to impact as many students as possible.
Okay, that helps. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'll add, we've already identified 92 leavers that weren't just at Pathways, of dropouts from the other high schools. That is part of the report that we want to give to Graduation Alliance for this next year, in addition to trying to find the ones on the list currently.
Madam Jones.
Ms. Burke? I love your enthusiasm, and I agree that the sooner we can capture these young people who have quit on their education to get back into the system, the better. Because the longer you drag out not going back to get your high school education, the less likely you're going to do it. So when I look at this, it says have been coded as a dropout or have exhausted comprehensive high school pathways and academic campus options. So how, if I'm a 16-year-old or a 17, I think you can't drop out of high school until you're 17, is that correct? In the state of Texas? What's the dropout age? 17?
Well, I don't know.
Is it 17? Anybody know?
It might be 18, actually.
I thought it was 17. Okay, so if I'm a high school student and I'm 17 years old and I just don't want to have to come to class anymore, and I want to do, I mean, can I just drop out and then become part of this program?
No. One of the stipulations is that you have to go, that's why we have the stipulation that you have to exhaust all other areas and avenues beforehand. And you cannot enroll in the program in the year in which you dropped out to avoid that from happening as well. Because we did think about that, and that's actually one of the things that Dr. Creighton brought up. And she was like, we definitely do not want that to be an issue for our students to say, ooh, I can just go and do this. I can drop out and go over here and stay home and play Xbox all day and then do this at night.
Yeah, because these kids are pretty smart.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We keep you sharp.
They can work the system. So, all right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. You're welcome.
Madam Capito.
I move to approve the Texas Education application for, optional flexible school day program in the Graduation Alliance, Inc. Student Reengagement Program Agreement as presented.
The motion by Madam Capito, I have a second by Vice President Mintz. Any further discussion by trustees? Yes, sir. Mr. Rainwater.
Apologize for not understanding or help me with this. So a kid's unsuccessful in high school. He's a dropout. Any high school in KISD. So whatever this program offers, and it's wonderful for those kids that make it, is another chance to fail again online, is the way I see it.
Okay.
Which is completely not satisfactory to me. But tell me I'm wrong and tell me why.
You're wrong in the sense that, well, I'll say this. You're correct in that everyone has the opportunity.
Hold on. We're not going to say we're wrong. Let's just talk about why we think it's
Yes, sir.
a
My
very good
apologies.
program. Don't tell him he's wrong.
Thank
Sorry.
you, Mr. Williams.
My apologies, sir.
So, no, my apologies, Senator.
The reason why anyone has the opportunity to fail if they so desire. So we did have a student that was in the program that did not do the work and said, this isn't for me, and left. That does happen. The other portion of this are, we always talk about the wraparound services that are provided. So Graduation Alliance provides wraparound services for the students in the sense of they have an academic coach, a student academic coach, and they are charged with meeting with this academic coach regularly. The coach calls them to ensure that they're on task and they're doing their work. They also have to check in regularly as well. So it's not as though they're just left to their own devices with regard to the work that they're doing. There is an accountability that's set up as well. And one of the things that we found with the students that are currently working is that they have a deep desire, because they understand what they've lost by dropping out the first time, to actually finish the project, to finish the program. So whereas they're now in their 19s, 20, 21, 22, life has come to them and said, if you don't get your high school diploma, there are a lot of things that you're unable to do and able to complete. So in that regard, it is another opportunity for them to be successful, and generally they take that opportunity and they run with it.
The academic coach, Mr. Hicks, is from KISD or from the Alliance?
Graduation Alliance, sir.
Not from KISD?
Not from KISD.
Online.
And they make regular contact and phone calls. And they even have opportunities for them to meet up personally with not just themselves, but with their cohort, to kind of build in that school camaraderie as well.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks.
You're very welcome, sir.
I think just lastly, one point I want to say is that this is not supplementing all the activities and all the support that KISD already has. This is a second chance. This doesn't mean, as you're alluding to, well, I'm just going to drop out and I'm going to go to graduation. No, you're not. We're still going to fight like we always do in KISD to get all those students across the stage. So once again, this is something, sometimes life just happens and they have to drop out and they're going to work. But that doesn't mean we're going to give up on them. But this is not going to supplant all the amazing things that we have in KISD to make sure that we get students across those stages.
Any other questions? We have a motion by Madam Capito, a second by Vice President Mintz, and we're taking questions. Any hearts and minds clear? All those in favor, show of hands. We have 6 in favor, none in opposition, 1 absent and not participating, and Trustee Rodney Gilchrist. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll now go to agenda item C. Excuse me, consideration of proposed Killeen Independent School District Student Code of Conduct for the 2026-2027 school year. Welcome, Mr. Michael Wells.
Good evening. Mr. President, Dr. Davis, members of the board, on July 14th, I presented for discussion the proposed Student Code of Conduct for the 2026-27 school year. We generated a lot of discussion that night. We did have a number of items, and these are the items that we discussed that night. But I bolded the dress code because that was where the majority of the discussion came from that night. So tonight I am presenting 2 different student code of conducts. Proposition A does not contain the student, hair must be neat, clean, and well groomed, facial hair if worn must be neat and well trimmed. That statement has been removed from Proposition A. Proposition B does include that very statement, and so it would mirror the previous year's student code of conduct.
Mr. Wells, can we talk about that one?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
I think I know we had lots of conversations about that, but I'll open the floor before. I've got a few comments, but I'll defer to anyone else who may have any comments about the hair. Trustee Renwater.
Well, I support Proposition B as I always have. I think one of the things we're trying to do in KISD is work on discipline inside our district, and it's been something that's been a thorn in our flesh for several years. And for me as a former high school principal, to just say, okay, we really don't care how you look when you come to school is a giant step in the wrong direction. So Proposition B, to me, is an absolutely must for KISD.
Any other comments on the dress code? So here's going to be my comment on the dress code. So I definitely think you should be neat, clean, and well-groomed. I think if you wear facial hair, this is where I think, okay, let me back up. I want to know, because I think I understand why it was taken out, because I want to know who's the judge and jury on what neat hair is. So I want to know that when someone gets a discipline note and it says, or a referral, I don't know all the lingo, when it says your hair's not neat, how do you capture that? People are going to argue that nonstop, I would think. Now, clean, well-groomed. So I just want to know, because these guys wear big beards now. I mean, young men I wish I could grow one of those big beards, but are we going to tell them it can't be longer than, I'm just trying to help the teachers, because I just think you're going to say, is it 6 inches long? Is it? And so that's where I don't have an issue with being neat, clean, and well-groomed. I have an issue with us not quantifying what is neat, what is clean, and what is well-groomed. Because, see, to me, this is well-groomed, but they call me an old guy. This is not how they want to wear their beards. It's free-flowing and natural, and that's what because I'm not the one who has to enforce it. Now, I think it's good. I just want to know how they are going to, or are we going to just put it in there and the staff's going to say, don't worry about that. There's no way we can enforce that. Because that's why I think y'all took it out. That's just me being honest. I think y'all took it out because you said there's no way we can enforce that, because how do you measure it? And so that's my question, which we're probably going to vote on it and put it in there, but I'm going, there's never going to be anything about it. I think someone's going to tell someone on the side, leave that alone. Don't touch that. That'll just get you in a bunch of trouble. And if we know that right now, then what do we do so that's just not the case?
Yes, sir. That was the very impetus to bring it forward when I did. I will if I can say, though, the difference between this is not that we're lowering standards, but we're looking at it differently. It's the standard, we have a student that we see is not neat, clean, and well-groomed. The child needs our help, but they might not need a disciplinary consequence to get there. What we're trying to do is understand that there's a difference between providing resources and providing for support for a child, and there are numerous resources that we have for kids like that need our help every day. But to put them into the discipline system because they need our help is what we're trying to delineate between, and that's what we brought forward for discussion.
And Madam Secretary, I see you. Let me just follow back up on that. So when, like on the hair, if that's the case, why don't we say it can't be longer than 10 inches? Why don't we say the beard can't be longer than 2 inches? I'm just saying we've got to quantify that somehow, because I'm going to look at something and say that that's not neat and clean, and the principal's going to be saying, I think that's neat and clean.
Yes.
And that's not fair to the principal, and I'm just going, this almost can't be a standard because it doesn't have any, it's too vague. I mean, because I want it in there. I want them to be able to enforce it, though. And I'm just going, how do we do that? Are we afraid to say your hair can't be longer than 16 inches long? Are we afraid to say your beard can't be longer than 3 inches? Is there a law?
There is a law in the books, the Crown Act. We do know about that. That has more to do with the racial component or the cultural component to hairstyles and our ability, our lack of ability to control that, or place a rule in place that would discriminate against that. I would ask the board, do we want principals and APs with rulers measuring hair and beards from day to day? If it's important, and the board says that's what we're going to do, we're going to work to enforce it. That's my job, is to work with campus administration to enforce these rules in the student code of conduct. I want to make sure we can do
One more
that.
follow-up, and then I'll defer to the other folks. I'm getting all my questions in right on this one. How are we going to enforce neat, clean, and I'm in favor of it, by the way. I just want to know how we're going to enforce it as written.
Mr. Williams, I don't know that I have an answer to that question.
Madam Secretary.
I'm definitely in support of Proposition B. As I stated before during our discussion, I cannot recall 25 years of being a middle school principal ever seeing a referral on a student for not being neat, clean, or well-groomed. And I think we set high standards academically. We need to set high standards of expectation in their dress because we're preparing them for the workplace. And the school is a learning community, and their job is to learn. So it's always been in there. We've never had any trouble with it to the degree that we're spending this much time talking about it. That's very concerning for me. There's so many more challenging things and topics that we should discuss in our student code of conduct versus dress code. So I just think we're just belaboring the moment. We just need to move on.
Trustee Rainwater.
Mr. Wells, you would know since you do the discipline piece of KISD, previously the policy was students not in compliance were given a chance to comply. If they failed to comply, and that could occur over a couple of days or 2 or 3 days, then that became a discipline issue for repeated misconduct. Is that still in place in the discipline management system?
So this dress code, all of these items that are on the dress code list go into the general matrix, that minor matrix of a minor violation. And so, yes, a campus can work with a student if you're wearing pants that are not in dress code. We can call the parent, have them bring the clothes in the first time, get them back into order. I don't know how you would do that with hair that's too long or a beard, facial hair that's not trimmed. So you'd have to work with that a little differently. But if a student, if you gave them 2 or 3 days and they don't, it's going to go in as a disciplinary minor violation, and those would rack up on a student and could wind up with ultimately a disciplinary placement over this very thing.
And that's my point. After several days and several
Yes.
attempts, first time you see a student that his hair is not neat and clean and well-groomed, a good assistant principal or administrator would have a conversation with them and give them a chance to comply,
Yes,
and then move from there with the student.
yes.
Madam Capito.
Is there any way we can compromise a little? I absolutely 100% agree that we want all children to come to school being neat, clean, and well-groomed, but I think I said last time, usually if that's not happening, a child needs resources, and we need to really look at that. Can we do something where at the beginning of the dress code, it says the KISD standard is that all children will come to school neat, clean, and well-groomed to, whatever facial hair, if worn, is neat and groomed. Like, that's our standard. But not make it that it's a must where it has a disciplinary or quantification of it. I think we need to keep it in our handbook, put it in bold print, and at the top of our dress code state, this is our KISD expectation of excellence and what we're wanting them to do. But to ask principals to determine, or who's going to judge that, and now that there's been all this conversation about it, people are going to fight about it. I mean, I'm just being real here. I agree to put it there, but can we just put it at the beginning of the opening of the dress code and saying this is the KISD standard? It is the KISD way. This is what we want for every child in our district.
So can I ask a clarifying question, just to make sure I'm
I mean, I'm just trying to make this easy.
So at the beginning where we talk about, this is the section for dress code, and I believe it's Exhibit D. What you're saying is all students are expected to, and we could just include this as a overarching statement of expectations for the
Yes.
district, and then list out all of the things that would be a dress code violation.
There you go.
That could lead to a
I don't
to
know
a
if the rest of the
disciplinary
board could get
consequence.
with that, but at least it's still keeping the language in there without a penalty.
Okay.
Madam Jones.
So the penalty thing, I'm not really quite following that in the sense that I don't want to penalize kids for something that might be a minor infraction. But at the same time, this is a common statement that you will find in any employer's handbook out there in the real world. That will be a statement in there. Wherever I go to the bank, it says I have to come in there clean, neat, and well-groomed. And so, and some even go further to say you can't have tattoos showing, and et cetera, et cetera. So this is a minor, in my opinion, a very minor statement in comparison to what they might see in the real world when they become adults. And that's our whole goal, our whole job. I agree that it becomes subjective for enforcement, but again, we have principals on campuses that we have trusted with our children and their academic accomplishments, then we should be able to trust them with making a decision about a child, whether they're neat, clean, and well-groomed. And I said that before, and I'll stick to my premise on that. I think Proposition B would be fine with me.
Mr. Wells, I would just add that my concern would be with the, I state this again, I'm in favor of neat, clean, and well-groomed. I'm just saying, I don't think it's possible for our district staff to enforce that equally across the board, because I think one of the big deals this year is that school X, they can dress anyway, at school Y, they dress this way, and the attempt was to get things in place so we could be more consistent across the board. Now, that's not my problem, that's y'all's problem, but I just see this as going like, so, but I'm not gonna beat it up. I'm ready for the, I almost ended all debate and said that thing, so, but I'm good. I hope y'all are. That's really what I'm,
Absolutely.
what I'm talking about is, are y'all going to be good?
We're going to enforce what the board,
You already answered. You're good.
yes.
You're good. I know the answer.
okay. On both Proposition A and B, we did include the example of trench coats in there as attire that cannot be worn. That was discussion that was had. And also, the statement is included on both propositions that students assigned to the elementary, middle, or high school DAP campus will be required to be in uniform dress while attending. This specific requirements will be addressed at the DAP enrollment and orientation. So that was to address Ms. Cabito's concern last time, that we do have that acknowledgement there. Okay? So with that,
Open for questions. It's an action item, for sure.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I move to approve the proposed KISD Student Code of Conduct Proposition B for the 26-27 school year as presented.
A motion by Vice President Mintz. We have a second by Madam Jones. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? All those in favor, show of hands. 1, 2, we have 4 in favor. All those opposed? We have 4 in favor, 1 opposed. Those abstaining? So we've got a 4, 1, 1, 1 vote. 4 in favor, and Trustee Jones, Vice President Mintz, Trustee Rainwater, Trustee Capito, Secretary Adams in opposition, President Brett Williams abstaining. Trustee Rodney Gilchrist absent and not participating. So that's your pretty easy 4, 1, 1, 1 vote. Thank you for your work, Mr. Wells, and all the staff. We'll now go to item D, which is a consideration of a proposed employee compensation plan general pay increase for fiscal year 2027. Welcome back, Ms. Callan Vayton. And it says Will Baker on my script too. Will, do you want to stand up there too? Yeah, come on.
Just want, I don't,
You can do it.
there we go. Just wanted to, again, as discussed earlier, ask for approval of the administration's recommendation of a $14 minimum per hour pay. Again, keeping that stratification. Then 1%, and then on top of that, $50 per month. Do want to.
$50 per month for all.
For all employees.
There you go.
Wanted to, I think I'm going to go back. Didn't mention a while ago, this is the placement schedule that will, for a teacher, that will accompany that. Beginning teacher pay will be $59,400. So again, that's an increase of where we have been before. Certainly keeps us, we've talked about that we've got the highest in the region, certainly keeps us in that position. Also, we have looked at or talked with TASB regarding median salary, and again, we are well above a $55,000 medium salary for the area. And then just want to point out for all of our staff, the longevity is still in place based on your 5 years, which would be on top of this. Oh, I thought you were still behind me. I think that's it, unless y'all have questions.
Questions for Ms. Vayton about the
Which way you want to go?
employee compensation plan general pay increase for fiscal year 2027? Madam Secretary.
I know my question is late, and there was a slide with the difference in the 2% for all employees. Which number is that? I'm sorry. Okay, so that was.
Are you looking for?
6 million? 6.3 million?
The total for the recommendation is 7.4. Do I have that?
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Are we, Mr. Rainwater, I see the pen in your hand.
Just give me 1 second.
Okay, you're fine. That's what I want to wait.
Appreciate you. So this motion, the recommendation would be to approve the minimum $14 as we discussed previously, and then a 1% general pay increase for all employees, classified and professional,
Correct?
which includes a $50 per month insurance supplement
On top of that, yes.
on top of that.
It's,
I'd like to make a recommendation. Motion.
Okay, hold on. I want to make sure I understand what you want to make an alternative. That's what I'm thinking. Are you saying you're ready to make a motion? Because if you're going to say a motion, I want to make sure that everybody's
I
good.
want to
with
make a
their
motion to approve.
As,
As
well,
published, as published.
okay, gotcha. Then let me just make sure no one else had, you're good down there too?
I don't have any.
Okay, the floor is yours, sir. I think we're good.
Okay?
Yep.
Yes, Joey, is it good?
You're good, sir.
Okay. I move to approve item 1, a $14 per hour minimum wage while maintaining the pay scale stratification. Item 2, a 1% general pay increase for all employees and a $600 increase for all employees for the 26-27 school year as presented.
We have a motion by trustee Marvin Rainwater. We have a second by Madam Susan Jones. Any further discussion on the pay plan? There being none, all those in favor, show of hands. We have 6 in favor, none in opposition, 1 absent and not participating, and trustee Rodney Gilchrist. Thank you. Congratulations to our employees, but we appreciate all the hard work for you. Thank you, Mr. Heckenberg. All right, we will now go to agenda item 8, which is discussion of future board meeting agendas and trustee remarks. And we're going to start on my left with Madam Susan Jones. Then we're going to go to Madam Tina Capito.
I just want to say thank you to all the staff and departments for continuing to come up and have to present and give us information and endure all of our questions. It's always for the welfare of the district, and so thank you.
Trustee Marvin Rainwater.
Good situation for me about the pay raise, not realizing that in this pay raise is going to be each school year. And one of the things in this crisis budget scenario that we're in is and Adam will give us a facilities report in August, is we really don't know all the things that are coming down the pike for us in terms of facilities and the other things that may happen inside the school district. At the same time, we have to be able to compete with other school districts, and I realize the commissioner wants, he met with you and Dr. Davis, and as he said, show me the numbers. He wants numbers. But the only way to meet that goal is to hire quality certified teachers that want to come here to KISD. And the pay raise to me is a vote for those people. I'm sure so many more want so much more, but that's really saying, hey, we believe in you and we want to help you as much as we can. At the same time, we realize we're taking a bit of a risk with the budgets as they exist. And I can't say much about executive sessions, Joy, so you shut me up when I'm wrong, Joy. What'd she say? I'm good.
She said, stop now.
Stop now. Okay, so I'll stop now.
I can never get him to just stop like that. Joey says stop now, and he stops like now. So that's terrible. Madam Secretary.
Kudos to all those in the communications department. It's a wonderful thing in social media to see good news, to see educators getting geared back up for learning, professional development, new hires with faces and names and great places. And I also had the opportunity to participate in the new teacher induction morning. That was a beautiful experience. There are teachers coming from near and far, returning teachers, some coming from Ghana, some from the Philippines, some from China, to be a part of what we do in our district, which is love on kids and make sure that we teach to their maximum potential. So kudos, kudos, bravo, bravo. Keep up the good work.
Mr. Vice President.
Nothing, thank you, sir.
I just want to say, as we get ready to start the new school year, and I talked about it at new teacher induction about, the confidence of where we stand today versus, 365 days ago, roughly. It was pretty turbulent, so to speak. So I want to say thanks to the staff for being resilient over the last 365 days as we start a new journey with the new school year quickly approaching. because y'all are where the rubber meets the road, but y'all have had to deal with a lot of change, not in just the last 365 days. I mean, you've had change over the last 3 years, system change, system change, system change. So, I mean, it is my hope and prayer that you're going to be system change free for a little while. We'll have a little bit of consistency. But then I just want to say to my fellow trustees, I say thank you, because I think through all the storms of the last 365 days, y'all have done an excellent job of positioning us to really be successful moving forward. And it's not always easy. I mean, it's tough, but everybody's got their passion. But I think we've got this district in a position to really be successful. So I say kudos to the trustees as we get ready to start a new school year. And I want y'all to be able to sit back and go, man, the fruits of the labor, that you can see them. Won't be easy. The work is hard. But I appreciate your work. So I want to say thank you to you all. And so that's all I got. Mr. Superintendent?
Oh, Madam Vice, I was about to call you Vice President again. Ollie might hit me with an elbow. Madam Jones.
I was just sitting here daydreaming, so I apologize, but it's my ADD personality. But last weekend, I got the opportunity to go out to Clovis, New Mexico for my niece's reenlistment ceremony. And Clovis has an air base there that is kind of like a special forces type thing. Lots of C-130s and big gunships, which are really cool. Anyway, we went out on the tarmac to do her reenlistment ceremony with some of her her airmen. And one of them happens to be a 2017 Ellison grad, and was very proud that he came from Killeen, and made sure he told me that. So I wanted to say, this is what I talk about when I say our kids, our students, aren't just our students, they're America's children. And they go across the United States, whether they're serving in the military or whether they're working somewhere. So I just wanted to share that with y'all. I almost forgot about that, because he had to get a picture with me so he could share it with his dad, who's still here in our community. So, but again, Ellison grad, 2017. I did. I'll share it with you.
Mr. Superintendent?
Thank you, Mr. President. So I'd just like to say, give kudos to this board. And this time of year is exciting, but it's also challenging as we get, preparing to receive our awesome students, and lots of tough decisions have to be made. And it happens cyclically every year as it relates to raises and budgets and dress code, student code of conduct, all the things, right? And so I appreciate the board. I know some of these decisions can be hard, and you have to vote your conscience. You have to vote based on your core values. I appreciate your due diligence, and lots of respect and kudos go out to you guys as it relates to these decisions. So appreciate it. There's been some great, robust conversations, and we appreciate it, and we look forward to a new year. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The board will now go back to agenda item number 2, closed session. The board will now convene in closed session for agenda item 2F, level 3 parent grievance as allowed by Texas Government Code 551.071, 551.0821. No voting will take place in closed session. Any action the board wishes to take as a result of discussions in closed session will take place after the board reconvenes in the open meeting. The time is now 8:56 p.m., and we are in closed session and will remain in this room here. Okay. The board is reconvening in open session at 10:08 p.m. The recorder on, Ms. Moore? Yes. All right, we're at agenda item 9, consideration and possible action regarding level 3 parent complaint. Madam Capito.
I move to deny the level 3 complaint and the relief requested.
We have a motion by Madam Capito. We have a second by Trustee Rainwater. Any discussion? Madam Capito?
Yes, sir. Ms. Williams, we are currently not the governing board of this complaint. This is really an art committee's decision of going for services and things like that. The special education department will be reaching out to get that art scheduled for the services that you are requesting to go through that art committee, because that's the proper process. We are not the proper process for this.
Any other further discussion by the Board of Trustees? So we have a motion by Madam Capito. We have a second by Trustee Rainwater to deny the appeal. There being no further discussion, what is the desire of the Board of Trustees? All those in favor of the motion, show of hands. We have 6 in favor, none in opposition, 1 absent and not participating, and Trustee Rodney Gilchrist. That concludes the hearing. A staff person from special education, from learning, help me out, specialized learning, will be reaching out to you within 48 hours.
I'm going to be honest, I don't have faith in that because they were really supposed to reach out. We were really supposed to get these things done way before any of this came down to this. And so I'm going to be honest, that's why I want to find outside. I don't have trust in this district anymore. I don't have faith in it. I get requested for these services since last.
Ms. Wood, I totally understand, but give us an opportunity on this 48 hours. Give us an opportunity. Give us an opportunity on this 48 hours. Yes, that's all I can tell you at this juncture. That'll conclude this section of the agenda. We'll now move to agenda item. Do you need closed session? No. Okay. We'll move to agenda item number 10. Madam Secretary.
Mr. President, I motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn by Secretary Adams. We have a second by Madam Capito. All those in favor, show of hands. We have 6 in favor, none in opposition, 1 absent and not participating, and Trustee Rodney Gilchrist. This meeting of the Board of Trustees is adjourned at 10:11 p.m. on Tuesday, July 28th, 2026. Thank you.